diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 6:03 and Robinson saves you time. 41 here in Columbia. It's 40 in Jefferson City. It's going to be a beautiful day today. Sunny, a high of 64. Mostly cloudy tonight, low near 50. And rain returns to the forecast tomorrow morning. Good morning, everyone. Former Columbia City Council candidate Randy Minchew and Mizzou journalism adjunct instructor Tanya Heath are running for mayor, both announcing their runs on Monday. Mr. Minchew is focusing on public safety, more officers, and more fire stations. He announced his run here on 93.9 The Eagle yesterday afternoon with host Fred Perry. As for Tanya Heath, she wants to strengthen the future of businesses and neighborhood communities. She says Columbia is not a one-size-fits-all community. The current mayor, Brian Treese, is not running for re-election in April. Missouri's governor will be delivering opening remarks here in a few hours in Ashland at a workforce summit. It's aimed at meeting the area's growing need for technically skilled workers. A project aimed at building a center to train high school students and adults has received a $4 million federal grant. The Ashland area community is now working to raise an additional $3 million. It would not just serve Ashland, it would serve 6 counties, according to the Southern Boone superintendent. Center's curriculum would focus on construction trades, medical technology, information technology. Missouri's Governor Mike Parson will be speaking later this morning at the summit during the 9 o'clock hour. It's taking place at the Southern Boone area YMCA. The superintendent also talked about the growth in Ashland yesterday here on 93.9 The Eagle. The superintendent, Fred Perry, noting that right now more than 700 homes are either under construction or will be under construction. These are new homes in the Ashland area. A home on northeast Columbia's McKee Street was struck by gunfire Monday afternoon. Detectives have reportedly made an arrest in the case. CPD says shots were fired Monday about 1:15 in the 1700 block of McKee. That's near Clark Lane. No injuries reported. Our news partner ABC 17 reports a downtown traffic stop and arrest are now linked to the McKee Street incident. KMIZ reports a yellow Corvette later found downtown had several bullet holes in it. The driver of that vehicle has been detained. His name unavailable. University of Missouri's top leader says the recent visit by the National Institutes of Health Director Dr. Francis Collins to the Next Gen Precision Health Building in Columbia signifies the importance of the bond between Dr. Collins and Missouri Senator Roy Blunt.
Personal bond, but also professional bond with Senator Blunt in developing new ways to support biomedical research that's going to impact people's lives tomorrow, a year from now, and a decade from now.
That's System President Dr. Minchew, who says Missouri now has all the crucial elements to even better fulfill its mission of research, education, and service to Missouri. And more than 40 employees of Columbia 3M protested outside the plant on Monday late morning against the president's vaccine mandate. The upcoming federal rule will require companies with 100 or more employees to be vaccinated or regularly tested. ABC 17's Zola Crowder reports Monday's protest was against the requirement that employees be vaccinated by December the 8th. We did check with 3M spokeswoman Jennifer Ehrlich yesterday. She tells 93.9 The Eagle they will comply with the federal vaccination mandate because they are a federal contractor with more than 100 employees. Ms. Ehrlich says 3M cares about its employees and their families, and she says they want them to be healthy and safe. Their objective since the pandemic began. The 3M spokeswoman also says they value their employees and hope they choose to stay at 3M. Branden will have more on this story for you coming up a little bit later on Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live this morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For AirServe and ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean for all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports, World Series opening on this Tuesday night, Minute Maid Park in Houston. The World Series traditionally opens up on a Tuesday. Astros hosting Atlanta in Game 1. First pitch, 7:09 Fox. St. Louis and Joe Buck will have the call tonight for you on television. The St. Louis Blues beating the LA Kings last night 3-0 at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Tarasenko scoring 2 goals for the Blues. They are 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Steve's Pest Control. You can go online to stevespestcontrol.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. Our weather is brought to you, Kevin, by Steve's Pest Control. You can call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today, stevespestcontrol.com. 41 in Columbia.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. It's very dark right now, and again, the days are getting shorter, so not as much daylight. 7:28 is when we'll see the sunrise this morning, so make sure you give yourself extra time this morning. We're not seeing or hearing anything on the roads to be too concerned about right now, but be prepared, obviously, for less daylight today. Not just today, but also in this evening, our sunset at 6:18. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Believe that we are entitled to medical choice. It's my body, it's my choice what goes into my body. It's not so much even about the vaccine itself, other than, if we allow this freedom to be taken away from us, what comes next?
But this mandate is much bigger than my job, much bigger than my company. This is a fundamental right that we have to be secure in our bodies. Our body, our choice, my body, my choice. And if I or somebody else doesn't feel that this is safe, they shouldn't be threatened with losing their job to take this thing. It's just gone way too far.
Protesters talking to KOMU Channel 8 yesterday, 3M. Some 40-plus people apparently out there saying, hey, listen, you're going to mandate that we get the vaccine? Some of us willing to lose our jobs. And 3M, we did reach out to 3M yesterday, and they sent us a statement.
They did. They sent us a statement, Branden, and I did call out there, and kind of as you and I thought, the local plant could not talk to me. I had to go through the folks in St. Paul, Minnesota, and they did get back to me very late in the afternoon. I talked to Jennifer Ehrlich via email. But in a nutshell, and she said, and I'll just kind of sum this up as quickly as I can, they are a federal contractor with more than 100 employees. They have about 400, by the way, so they're well over that. So they will comply with the federal vaccination mandate. But the 2 points she made, Branden, 3M cares about its employees and their families. They want them to be healthy and safe. She says they value their employees. They hope they stay at 3M. That's their statement, essentially.
I saw some of the signs yesterday, and if you go and look at some of the local TV stations, whether it's ABC 17 or KOMU 8, you can see some of the signs that people were showing there yesterday.
And the other thing of the video I saw a little bit on KOMU, and I certainly saw the video on KMIZ, and there were a number of cars honking, apparently in support. You could hear that kind of off in the distance.
One of my favorite signs, once essential. Remember 2 years ago? Man, we got letters here at the radio station from the federal government saying, hey, so-and-so is an essential worker in case. Because we didn't know. Remember, March 2020, man, that was a weird gig. We all got our letters here at the radio station with federal government stampings, and we were supposed to keep it in our car at all times because we were allowed to drive to work because being in the radio, we were considered essential so we could pass along information to you. And that's weird to go back and you think 2 years ago, we were carrying around letters from the federal government thinking, we don't know what's going on. We're going to be stopped. I got to show a letter from the federal government.
That's exactly right.
That's just crazy, man. So we were essential workers, frontline. And I think just about everybody was essential.
Lawyers were essential.
Lawyers were essential. Grocery store workers, essential. Frontline workers, essential.
Even like my husband does residential property management, like housing. I mean, if you're in housing and you're providing people housing, I think even some people in that industry were essential. So, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of people. So the only people that, well, I don't know that they were essential. The only people that did stay home, I would say, were teachers. Honestly, I mean, it seemed like that because, like, I had a private daycare and all the other parents, had to go. And so a lot of, I was able to drop one of my kids off at a daycare. And it seemed like it was pretty full because everyone in state government, a lot of people were there. But then my big kids had to stay home and I had to find other arrangements because they didn't have to go to, or they couldn't go to school. You could make a diagram, I think, out of this. I remember like Glenn Beck used to do when he had a TV show on Fox. He had the big whiteboard and he would draw all these, Pythagorean theorems and stuff like that. But you could draw this on a board. Almost 2 years ago, people were carrying around letters from the federal, I'm an essential worker in case I get pulled over, in case the Gestapo's out there. We started there, and now where places are mandating you put something in your body in the guise of keeping other people safe. And with 3M, isn't it more, it's not necessarily 3M as much as they're in effect, since they're a government contractor, they're being mandated by Joe. Yeah, exactly. And again, I didn't talk to Jennifer, I called, but based on her, I think it's fair to say this, based on her email to me, it's not that 3M is doing it because they want to do it. It's the federal mandate. She didn't sign the letter, let's go, Branden. She didn't do that. But the one thing in Zola Crowder's report in KMIZ, Branden, she said is that this is something I hadn't seen anywhere else. They're saying on Zola's report, the employees must be vaccinated at 3M by December the 8th or be fired. Now, that is not in the statement. That is something I did see on KMIZ that I hadn't seen. So I'm not. I thought they could opt in for weekly testing or something like that. Yeah, that's I know that also you could get and I think they've clarified that. I also know that there's some religious exemptions and some medical exemptions too. By the way, I want to become an ordained minister on the internet. If you want religious exemptions, I'm selling them for $50. Weddings are free. You want a religious exemption? I'll sign your paperwork for $50. So this could be a diagram on how much the world has flipped in 2 years. We were carrying around our essential letters from the government. Yesterday, favorite sign at 3M protesting. People in Columbia. Somebody holding a sign that said, once essential, soon terminated. Wow. That's powerful. My second favorite sign that I saw there, let's go, Branden. Somebody holding a let's go, Branden sign on TV. And I'm like, yeah, free advertisement for the show. I think this speaks to a bigger thing, by the way, because these people, by the way, are passionate. This employee at 3M talking to KOMU saying, I'll do whatever it takes.
Many of us are willing to lose our job on December the 8th if we're not vaccinated. Some people will take the vaccine under duress, and some of us will not.
She says she's willing to lose her job. Mm-hmm. That's huge. Especially depending on your circumstances. There's some people situated a little bit, if I lost my job, not that big of a deal. But other people, that's a life-changing event for a lot of people. You lose your job, that can be a life-changing event. And this woman is I believe in this. I think that's great when you find something you believe in. I'm willing to have my kids go hungry. So much so that I want to get the vaccine. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. There's Stephanie Pell.
Good morning.
By the way, never did finish her white woman syndrome story trying to get home the other day.
It was traumatic.
It was. When you're traveling, you just want to come home and see the kids. Any bump in the road on the way home is traumatic. There's Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning.
Santa, the producer.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you this morning, 874-9390. But I think what we saw in Columbia yesterday, I think we're seeing this all across the country, and I believe it. And I think a lot of it has started with school parents getting involved. We're seeing it Columbia Public School District. Parents are going and they're calling leaders in the school district. They're calling them calling them out, saying, hey, why are you doing this? We're seeing them being silenced. We saw it in that school board meeting in Columbia over 2 weeks ago. School board president, Dr. Helen Wade, telling somebody that they were, they were being, using foul, I can't remember the word, starts with the letter D. Direct. It was almost like
Directed.
that disgusting something, and I can't think of the word now. Anyhow,
the
thing. And they shut the meeting down, went into recess, whatever you want to. They silenced in Columbia Public Schools, silenced a parent who is not being derogatory. That's the word I was. Derogatory.
Yay, Branden!
Not being derogatory. Silenced. That's cold. Last night, Ashland School Board, they met. Some interesting things happening there. We'll get into that coming up at 6:35. We're seeing people in California. They're doing, like in schools, doing no mandate Mondays because they're sick and tired of what the governor is doing there with mandates. We saw, I think this was yesterday, maybe it was over the weekend in New York, thousands of frontline workers marching across bridges in New York saying, we're not doing this. We're not. If I want to take the vaccine, I'll take the vaccine. It's not about being an anti-vaxxer. It's about you forcing me, holding me down, putting my arm behind my back and telling me I have to do something, especially under a lot of sketchy science anyway, whatever it is that you want to call it. People are getting involved, and I'm pleased. School Board of Missouri School Board, they're getting involved. I think this is a big deal. Maybe I'm overselling it. Maybe I'm misreading it. But I think this is a big deal. Missouri School Board Association withdrawing participation in the National School Boards Association. And it has to do with this directive from, let's go Branden, dude, in D.C. Hey, we're gonna sick the FBI and the Department of Justice on parents who speak passionately at school board meetings.
Yeah, they've been getting a lot of pressure here in the state on social media and elsewhere, just saying, hey, do you agree with this policy? You're a member of this national organization, and you pay dues. And one tweet says that they pay over $40,000 a year to this organization who calls parents domestic terrorists. And so, the rubber really hits the road. Is this something you agree with and want to fund or not? And they said, yeah, we're withdrawing our participation. Apparently, at least 17 other state school boards have said at least distance themselves. I don't know if they've done like a full withdrawal, but I think it matters.
So the School Board Association, Missouri School Board Association, they withdrawn their participation in the National School Boards Association because of that letter to the White House. I'm going to read some of the letter. The Missouri State School Board Association, now in this letter to the National School Boards Association, we believe that no school board member or educator should ever have to endure threats of violence or acts of intimidation against themselves or their families. However, attempting to address that issue with federal intervention should not be the first step in most cases and is antithetical to our long-standing tradition of local control. Further, the use of this is not a model for promoting greater civility.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important, but I also think actions speak louder than words. And what we know is our local school boards have been kind of treating parents as the enemy. And so I think they need to go beyond just withdrawing and, have a training session for school boards. Hey, if you have a parent who has an issue who steps up to speak, here's how to address them without cutting them off, without stopping your meeting. Here's how to respectfully engage in conversations with parents who just have concerns. And so, I like that first step, but then they need to further train our local school boards about how to not treat parents as the enemy.
Teach them how to listen, too, because I think it's one of the biggest things we hear. Lack of transparency, lack of communication. And then even when they get a chance to talk to some of these people, it's like if you're in a relationship with someone, you've been in that, and the significant other ain't listening. They're just going, uh-huh. And when I say you've been in that relationship, I'm talking to women that I have dated. Yeah, that's fascinating. I hear what you're saying.
Something that drives me nuts, though, is when my boyfriend acts like he's not paying attention or listening. I'll be like, what did I just say? And he can spout it off. Like, he knows. I'm like, you just interrupted me to ask another question. How the heck were you still listening to what I was saying? It's like his hidden talent.
This is key, though. Like when you're watching TV and stuff, Don't start a conversation in the middle of the morning show on Apple TV. Why do people do that? Like, wait for a commercial break and then start a conversation.
I am shaking my head. I tell my husband, I'm like, look at me, look in my face. So, because I feel like if they're making eye contact, hopefully they're listening.
And when you're sitting in first class in an airplane and you kick the husband to the back of the airplane, it's impossible to keep eye contact. Stephanie has a great story about trying to get home over the weekend. We'll have that coming up this morning, and I think some more on what happened in Ashland. They had a school board meeting last night. Just some of the things that we are covering for you this morning here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9. The Eagle on 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. You can also watch the show. Just go to YouTube, search 93.9 The Eagle live, and you can watch the show. What do you have coming up in the Daily DC Rundown?
Well, Biden keeps laying out all these policies, and then he keeps walking them back. What's he walking back now?
By the way, he turned some grade schoolers onto his secrets whenever dealing with
Always certain, sometimes right. This is Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
These multi-billionaires are going to look and say, I don't want to invest in the stock market because as that goes up, I'm going to get taxed. So maybe I will instead invest in a ranch or in paintings or things that don't build jobs and create a stronger economy.
Mitt Romney gets us into today's Daily TC Rundown, talking about one of the problems with saying, we're going to tax the rich to pay for this socialism plan that we like to call the infrastructure plan.
So we're investing in Hunter Biden's art or what, NFTs? I don't know. So Joe Biden has to find a way to appease Sinema and Manchin. And so rather than kind of undoing some of the Trump era tax cuts, he is now proposing basically taxing the assets of billionaires and requiring corporations to pay a minimum tax of 15%. And that's regardless of if they make any money or not. So that is being largely criticized by Republicans, but it seems to be buying some goodwill or some favor from the two senators that matter for Biden. And, you know, he and Nancy are still saying that they're hopeful that they see some movement on that this week.
Kyrsten Sinema, man, these people, they accost her in restrooms. They accost her in the middle of conversation. She's in the airport yesterday, clearly talking to somebody.
I know you've met with dozens of lobbyists. I did not touch you. I'm meeting with dozens. I know you're meeting.
So I know that might make your head spin a little bit because you're hearing three people talking. Kyrsten Sinema is walking. She's talking to somebody in this constituent. She reminds me of Michael G. Scott from The Office. You know those people around, you probably have one of these in the workplace. You'd be standing around talking to somebody and somebody will just walk by and interject themselves into your conversation. What's going on? We're having a conversation. That's what's going. That's what this was like. She just tries to inject herself in this conversation.
Yikes. Well, Biden is flip-flopping on another issue. Remember how we completely banned Europeans and then we said they had to be vaccinated? Now we're saying, well, not really. Just take a test before you come in.
Or just fly to Mexico, swim across the river. We ain't checking anybody down there. And that is your daily DC Rundown on 93.9 The Eagle. I have your ABC 17 storm track forecast. Sunny 64 today, 50 tonight. Some showers likely tomorrow, 63. Rain again on Thursday, high 51. Right now it's 40. Weather brought to you by Steve's Pest Control. Fall invasion is here. Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today to help stop the fall pest from invading your home. You can call or you can go online. Steve'sPestControl.com. So what is Joe doing today to try to sell this socialism package? Fox News has that coming up here at 6:30. And can you believe the border crisis, man? It's getting worse. Fox will have more on this. Brian Hauswirth is here. Statement from 3M regarding employees protesting in Columbia yesterday. He has that story at 6:31.
News. I'm Chris Foster. Democrats in Congress are still trying to work out what stays and what goes in their big social spending bill and how to pay for it.
Since Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema objects to raising corporate taxes, the White House has been floating another idea: tax the assets of billionaires like we tax income. Democrats on the Senate Finance Committee are preparing to roll out the plan, saying Americans are tired of the ultra-rich not paying their share. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell called it a harebrained scheme.
That's Fox's Jill Nato. States of emergency are declared over weather in New York and New Jersey.
Rainfall totals will be widespread, with some areas receiving 3 to 5 inches, especially around the New York City area. Strong winds will mean travel delays and the possibility for power outages.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. The storm system that brought flooding to northern California is hitting the central and southern plains states today. America's listening to Fox News.
.939 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31, 41 right now is our current temperature in Columbia. We're expecting a high today of around 64 degrees. We're expecting cloudy skies tonight with a low near 50, and tomorrow the rain likely to return with a high of 63 degrees. Good morning, everyone. 3M's requirement that employees get vaccinated by December has prompted a Monday protest in Columbia. Reporter Zola Crowder at our news partner ABC 17 on scene reports 43 employees protested near Paris Road.
Cars going by honking their horns in support of their protests against the vaccines here at 3M. Now, 3M is requiring employees to get vaccinated by December 8th unless they have a medical or religious exemption.
Zola Crowder reporting there from 3M, which is on Paris Road here in Columbia. 3M spokeswoman tells us that they will comply with the federal vaccination mandate because they are a federal contractor. They have more than 100 employees. The Columbia 3M plant actually has more than 400 employees. We'll have more from the spokeswoman at 3M for you coming up at 7:03 this morning. Meantime, we will learn new details here in a couple of hours about efforts in Ashland to create a center that will train high school students and adults to meet the region's growing need for technically skilled workers. Missouri's Governor Mike Parson will be speaking this morning at the MU Extension Workforce Summit. That'll be going on at the Southern Boone Area YMCA. That'll start about 8:30 this morning. The governor will speak in the 9 o'clock hour. The Southern Boone R1 School District, Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission, the City of Ashland, and Rankin Tech are working together. They're creating the center. It will serve 6 counties. The community is currently trying to raise $3 million in a capital campaign. The superintendent, Dr. Femley, addressing the growth as well in Ashland on Fred Perry's show yesterday afternoon here on the Eagle. We learned that right now there are more than 700 homes currently either under construction or will be under construction in the Ashland area. Detectives say a home on McKee Street in Northeast Columbia was struck by gunfire Monday afternoon. No injuries reported in the incident. Happened about 1:15 in the afternoon. ABC 17 news crews reported downtown traffic stop and arrest are now linked to the incident on McKee Street. A yellow Corvette was located later on Broadway downtown with a number of bullet holes in it. CPD describes their investigation as ongoing. That Corvette that was full of bullets has been towed away. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. The phone number is 573-875-TIPS. The largest electric power provider here in Missouri is getting into the Bitcoin business.
Missouri's largest utility has set up a data center at the site of one of its coal-fired power plants that is choosing to mine the internet for Bitcoins. Ammon officials say they believe the utility is one of the first regulated U.S. utilities mining cryptocurrencies. Companies already collected more than 20 Bitcoins, valued as of Friday at more than $60,000 apiece. John Marsh, the Eagle, 93.9.
93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you on this Tuesday morning by the great folks at Mid-America Mortgage. Check out midamerica.mortgage.us and apply now for a loan on your dream home. 93.9 The Eagle News time is 6:35. Turning our attention now to sports. The World Series opening tonight, Minute Maid Park in Houston. The Houston Astros hosting the Atlanta Braves in Game 1. First pitch 7:09 tonight. St. Louis and Joe Buck will have the call for you tonight on Fox Sports. Again, 7:09 first pitch. That is our time. Also, 3 St. Louis Cardinals are up for what is called the Silver Slugger Award. We'll learn those awards coming up in November. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Tyler O'Neill, the 3 Cardinals who are up for Silver Slugger Awards. Again, we'll know about that coming up on November the 11th. And hockey, Blues beating Los Angeles last night, 3-0. Enterprise Center, Tarasenko scoring 2 goals for the Blues. There was an empty net goal as well late in the game. St. Louis 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Witt Print Shop. It's where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagles News Time, 6:36.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local company is looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Just want to remind everyone, we did speak to MoDOT yesterday afternoon about the Sorrells Overpass, and at this point, they will have surveyors out again today doing survey work out near the Sorrells Overpass. They have not picked a date yet in terms of when the demolition and the major demolition and replacement will take place. It certainly will not be today. So traffic flowing well. Both lanes of westbound I-70 are open. Not expecting any problems. You will see some surveyors out there on scene today. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. We'll have more coverage coming up in 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Wake Up Columbia. News, analysis, opinion, and Hannah the... Sorry, blew it. Here we go. Wake Up Columbia. News, analysis, opinion, and Hannah the producer. I flub that again. Wake Up Columbia. News, analysis, opinion, and Hannah the producer. 93... I am flubbing all over that. Sorry about that. Here we go.
How much money are we paying this guy, Hannah? Jeez.
He sounds like Branden Rathert.
Right? You know the thing. The thing. That's our newest member to the Wake Up Columbia family. New voice guy. In case you hadn't noticed, people said, do you have a new voice guy? Do you have a new station voice? Yeah, and that's him, and he talks about as good as I do, and that is not very well. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. That is Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
Brian Hauswirth is here.
Good morning.
There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. If there is something we can do for you this morning, 874-9390. Before we get into an update, what happened? Ashland School Board meeting last, Southern Boone School District. Excuse me. A couple of comments regarding 3M. 3M striking yesterday, and I had brought up and it's 3M that's not imposing this mandate. It's in effect, it's the federal government. 3M is a contractor for the federal government, so that's what they're doing. It sounds like in our dealings with management at 3M, they're like, yeah, hey, we get it. By the way, one of the somebody who's been protesting, he's joining us on the show 8:35 this morning.
Sounds good. The one thing again, Jennifer Ehrlich is who we work through. She is their spokesperson, Branden in St. Paul. I did call the local plan. I didn't think they'd be able to talk, and I understand that, but I certainly wanted to start there. But you're exactly right. What Jennifer said, and I'll have more on her statement coming up at 7:03. But in a nutshell, they will comply, according to her, with the federal vaccination mandate because they're a federal contractor with more than 100 employees. So they're basically they're in the they're covered under this.
And I had brought up the possibility, do they have an option where they can get, because some places are saying, okay, if you don't want to get vaccinated, you can show us a negative test every week. Listener Tammy says if it's a federal contractor, they don't have that option to go and test. That's according to Tammy. Check this out, one of our listeners. I'll keep his name on the down low. But he works in the transportation industry, 29 years and 3 months. He says, I only need 9 more months to get retirement. However, I will be fired on December the 8th because he's not taking the vaccine.
Wow. And he works at 3M?
No, doesn't work at 3M. He works in transportation.
Transportation, fair enough. Wow. And again, people are very emotional on this with the sound that you heard there, and I think you played some sound from KOMU. I heard some sound as well yesterday from KMIZ, very similar. The one thing Zola Crowder said in her report that I think is worth mentioning that's not in the statement from 3M is Zola indicates that you can still try to get a medical, either a medical or a religious exemption. Other than that, you have to, according to her, and then basically what the company said, you'll be required to take the shot or be vaccinated by December the 8th.
Kudos to these people for standing up for something they really, really believe in, and I think they're cutting through some of the BS argument. Well, if you don't want to get the vaccine, you're anti-vax. No. It means you're pro-American. If you're demanding that people get vaccinated, I'll call you anti-American. And I think I'm being accurate.
Yeah, I think in 3M's case, their hands are tied. Yeah. I think, and it's terrible because you were talking earlier about walking out on your job and not being able to feed your family. Well, if 3M doesn't implement this policy, they risk losing their federal contracts, which I assume are a pretty substantial portion of their business, and then risk, losing, and then risk having to lay people off because they don't have revenue coming in. And so, I know in other industries that people have been standing up and companies have been saying we're not going to do it. And so, ultimately, I think it probably will end up in the courts. But right now, it's affecting people right here in mid-Missouri.
Kay Ivey, where's she, governor of Alabama, I think?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, she's telling state entities, don't follow this mandate. That's the governor saying don't do it. We ain't going. We need to start doing that. These people that want mandates, they say, hey, if you're against getting a vaccination, you're anti-vax. And that is not the case. Some people are anti-vax. Others just don't want to do it. It's the principle of the thing. And they're saying they're anti-vaxxers and not anti-vaxxers. They're pro-American. So I think we should, and Stephanie, I think we can get away with this. People that are in favor of mandates, we'll flip the script. We'll call them anti-Americans. Anti-Americans. That name will stick like a pasta noodle on a wall. Anti-Americans. What do you think?
In favor of mandates?
No, people that are in favor. They want you to get a mandate.
I mean, I think it's anti-freedom for sure.
874-9390. Somebody has a question off the text, 874-9390. So what about Mizzou? They receive federal contracts. I don't know how that would work out, and I'd like to BS my way through an answer here, but I don't want to be wrong.
No, and that's not something that if they do receive contracts, but it's more of a legal question, Stephanie. I don't.
We're all passing the buck here. But Brian, what do you know? I don't know, but let's check with our attorney, Stephanie Bell.
But I do think, it's a good question.
Good work, Hauswirth.
But I do think that unlike 3M, that has a lot of federal contracts nationwide, Mizzou, they contract with the federal government in terms of some research, but I'm not sure they'd be covered by this. Maybe they would be.
Dr. Minchew, system president's on the show next week. He'll be here in studio, and maybe he can explain that. And sorry that it will take you a while. Charles is asking, how many signatures do you need to recall a president? I don't know. Maybe Hannah, can you Google real quick how many signatures do you need to recall a president? Robert, is there actually a federal mandate? It's being said that it's just been said, but not actually an OSHA rule. And it's coming from the feds. I'd say that's even if it's OSHA, it's a federal mandate.
It hasn't. Yeah, I don't think the full rule has come out, but I think Biden has issued. Was it an executive order? Anyway, we can do some research on that for you.
Let's go, Branden. Jeez. I want to bring into the show now, and by the way, these folks at 3M and folks, frontline responders in New York, marching across bridges. I think it was yesterday or over the weekend, saying, no, we're not going to do this mandate. Governor in Alabama calling out these anti-Americans, saying, no, we're not going to abide by these mandates. You do what you will. We are willing to risk that. Parents locally, right now, there's about 4 people getting ready to get lined up downtown Columbia. Go file to become mayor. David Seaman currently is on the Columbia Public School Board. Randy Minchew. I really like this guy in the mayoral race. He was in the 6th Ward District race against City Councilwoman Betsy Peters. He got a decent amount of votes. Remember, City of Columbia, Randy Minchew, more of a conservative dude. I think he did all right. I think in a citywide race, he would do well. Barbara Buffalo, who used to work for the city, she's running for mayor. And then I think Tanya Heath, who is a professor at Mizzou, and I might have her last name wrong, but they're lining up this morning to make it official and run for mayor. They're putting a ring on it right now, but they're getting involved. They're doing something. They see something, they don't like it, they're getting involved. And that's a great phrase to describe our next guest here, Brad Bartow, parent, Ashland, in the Ashland School, Southern Boone County School District, meeting last night. And Brad, as we followed your story, we know you're frustrated on a lot of things, what's been happening there. A lot of it, lack of transparency and communication. Bottom line, what happened at this meeting last night?
Right. Well, I think we saw more of the same on that last night. My whole problem is, and I tried to point out to the board, that the written school policy in the handbook is not to conflict with anything passed by the board or the administration. And right now, I tried to point out that there is confliction. It totally contradicts each other. And this is according to the policy implementation and dissemination that was adopted in 2000. So the board chose to kick everything back to November 8th. And what's troubling about this is there were parents really banking on a decision last night. And personally, if I was on the board, I would have stayed all night to get this figured out. I mean, you have one parent.
Okay, and the decision, since there is a lot going on, we prefaced this conversation by saying there is a lot going on. You said this decision specifically. What decision are you talking about?
The decision to not make a decision, apparently. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, one person even posted a little meme that said, "We are having a meeting about last meeting." And that's exactly right. I mean, this has been kicked down the road for 3 months now, And like I said, parents are really banking on it. One parent in particular has a FFA meet. It's like a national meet, and I don't know how the FFA thing works, but their child is healthy and quarantined. Well, this is in another state. It's 6 hours away, and they can't even go on the bus ride down there. So the parents either have to take off work to drive their kid to this meet, and they're up the creek without a paddle.
All right, Brad Bartow. And the issue is parents wanting to get into schools, do more of these events because they're going to sporting events. They're hanging out outside. They're with them every day when they come home, but they can't. Parents can't participate in school activities and buildings.
Yes. Exactly. And another thing I brought up last night when I was interrupted, the time to speak it was cut short. Nearly every parent was cut short, and so we bring up transparency. In a time of transparency, let the parents speak. I mean, we're at a pretty controversial meeting. Let everybody say their piece. Well, I requested some extra time, right. And I mean, the problem was you can't even the meeting was not posted 5 days prior, so you didn't have 5 days prior to request extra time to speak. And, it wasn't even possible for us to speak.
Brad, I want to clarify here. You said you ran out of time to talk. They cut you off like you ran out of your allotted time, or they cut you off before allotted time?
No. I got my 3 minutes.
Okay.
So that was fair. So the only thing I don't think was fair is that the policy states that we would have to request 5 days prior to speak longer, and we didn't even have 5 days.
But you didn't know 5 days prior to the meeting because it wasn't called. Right. I got you. All right, Brad Bartow, parent of student Southern Boone County School Districts.
Yeah, another question in my mind, since parents aren't allowed in the school buildings, is whether we would be able to host home games. And so last year, even for kids 10-year-olds, we were not allowed, like for basketball, for instance, we were not allowed to host any home games at Southern Boone. And so we were driving to Marceline, hours away, and then we have to feed our family, right? So we're at the restaurants, we're doing these things, we're spending money in those communities, and our community didn't get that benefit, right, of all the out-of-town travelers into our school district. Now, that was not Southern Boone, that was Boone County. At that point, that was a Boone County government restriction, City of Columbia, the health restrictions. But, if this policy continues, that question is in my mind. Are we going to be able to host visitors, this winter indoors? Because I think that's important to all of us, not just, parents of Southern Boone.
All right, Brad, I don't want to cut you short, but we've got to get going. Hey, man, kudos on you for getting involved in trying to make a difference. We appreciate your efforts, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the time, and good luck to those protesters at 3M as well.
Amen. One of those protesters will be joining us 8:35 this morning here on 93.9. The Eagle on 93.9. TheEagle.com. Dave Chappelle back at it, addressing his critics.
This is Woke Up Columbia. And not really. Just kidding. 93.9 The Eagle.
That is not true. If they had invited me, I would have accepted it, although I am confused about what we're speaking about. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. My God, you said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. Well, it seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore.
Man, Dave Chappelle, mic drop moment, and yes, after his 5-minute monologue on the LGBT community criticizing him, he did drop the microphone. And it starts with his special, which, by the way, I saw the comedy special, The Closer. I've never been a big fan of his stand-up comedy. His stuff, his sketch show stuff on Comedy Central was brilliant. But the LGBTQs, they want his special pulled from Netflix because there's comedy about LGBTQ people.
Did you revoke the winning of because you said he won the week or whatever, the Netflix guy for standing up, and then he changed his mind?
No, they kept the special's not been pulled.
It hasn't been pulled, but then he issued a statement saying like he kind of went back on it.
Yeah, but they haven't pulled it.
Okay.
You can still get it, and if you want, go to Netflix and get the special. It's okay. But and Dave Chappelle, by the way, before he dropped the mic, went on to say, and as a matter of fact, he gave kudos, and all of a sudden the guy's name escapes him, but specifically gave kudos to the CEO of Netflix. I mean, I got to thank this guy. He's got my back on this. This is comedy we're talking about. My goodness, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Man.
Ted Sarandanos?
Yes, him. He gave kudos to him. Coming up, Fox News is here. What Joe is doing today to try to sell that socialism package. And can you believe the border crisis is getting worse? Fox is on these stories here at 7 o'clock. Brian Hauswirth is here. Some updates on the Sorrells Bridge overpass over I-70. Those are some of the stories he's working on for you. And then try to get some of these mayoral candidates on the phone who right now this morning standing in line in downtown Columbia to make it official.
It's time for the Doment of the Day with Branden Rathert on 93.9 The Eagle.
Your Doment of the Day, dumb people in the news doing dumb things. Today we feature the Associated Press. There's a guy, his name is Jeff Charles, and I don't know if you ever follow his stuff on Twitter, but he's kind of, sarcastic, and you go to his stuff, and it openly says, hey, this is satire. He did some kind of tongue-in-cheek claim about Let's Go Branden, the phrase being banned in Canada. The Associated Press fell for that, and they fact-checked that. The guy was kidding, my goodness.
Smaller doses for smaller kids. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The FDA is today considering Pfizer's COVID vaccine for younger children. Fox's Eben Brown has more live.
Yeah, Dave, the FDA's Vaccine and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee will be reviewing the data from Pfizer and BioNTech, which states children ages 5 to 11 acquired immune protection against coronavirus when receiving a lower dose of their vaccine. That pediatric version is about as third as potent as their adult vaccine. It is still a double dose given 3 weeks apart. The FDA's own analysis made public Friday does show a small risk of heart inflammation among test subjects, Dave.
Eben, Democrats keep negotiating a social spending plan. Moderate Senator Joe Manchin helped cut possibly half from an initial $3.5 trillion price tag.
I think that we've got a good understanding of each other now, better than we've ever had.
President Biden in New Jersey Monday selling his spending plan, even as Democrats still have not settled on which proposed programs and ways to pay for it have enough support to pass. The frenzy of activity up against the clock just days before the president meets with foreign leaders in Italy and Scotland, where he hoped to have a legislative achievement in his back pocket.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. Today, the president will have a virtual summit with leaders of 10 Southeast Asian nations backed by a $100 million initiative aimed at improving the U.S. relationship with them. A mall will be closed in Boise, Idaho today. The day after a shooting sent scared shoppers running. The gunman killed 2 people, wounded 4 more, including a cop when police tracked him down.
There was a exchange of gunfire that ensued shortly thereafter, resulting in the officer's injury.
Boise Police Chief Ryan Lee. The injured officer is out of the hospital. The gunman was also shot and is in critical condition. A few weeks ago, it was Facebook in the spotlight at a Senate hearing into concerns about child safety online. This morning, the focus will be on Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube and user safety. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 40 degrees right now in Columbia. It's 39 degrees in Jefferson City. We're expecting a high today of around 62 degrees. Should be a beautiful day for the big summit coming up in Ashland this morning. The governor will be there. We'll have more on that in just a moment. In this 7 o'clock hour, the National Weather Service in Kansas City says 2 tornadoes touched down late Sunday afternoon in the Sedalia area, one along Highway 50 and the other southeast of town. The National Weather Service says there were no injuries in either incident, neither tornado. The tornadoes packing 80-mile-per-hour winds. National Weather Service survey teams were in the area yesterday afternoon, both tornadoes touching down at about 5 p.m. on Sunday, and they were on the ground for approximately 1 minute. You'll soon see a national company coming to the Midway Golf and Games just west of Columbia. Midway Golf and Games owner Tim Roast making the announcement Monday afternoon on 93.9 The Eagle with Fred Perry. He tells 93.9 The Eagle that the new building will include a bar and grill restaurant. They will have a number of bays as well, 6 bays, and each bay can accommodate 6 customers. Construction is expected to begin in the spring. Some compare the Top Tracer Golf to what's known as Top Golf, and again, that's out at Midway Golf and Games that is just west of town. A couple of new candidates who are going to to be running for Columbia mayor in the spring, announcing their candidacies yesterday. Randy Minchew making his announcement here on 93.9 The Eagle with Fred Perry yesterday afternoon. Tanya Heath also making her announcement yesterday. She is a Mizzou journalism adjunct instructor. Governor Mike Parson will be delivering the opening remarks at this morning's summit in Ashland, a workforce summit that is aimed at getting more technically skilled workers in mid-Missouri. This new center that they're building and are going to build in Ashland will serve 6 counties. They will be training high school students as well as adults. They have received a $4 million grant from the federal government. Right now, the community is trying to raise $3 million. That summit will be starting here in about an hour. The governor will be speaking in the 9 o'clock hour. Big crowd is expected. The event is being sponsored and hosted by MU Extension. The governor will be speaking in the 9 o'clock hour. The University of Missouri's top leader says the National Institutes of Health Director Dr. Francis Collins coming to Columbia signifies a bond between the NIH director and Missouri's senior senator.
Personal bond, but also professional bond with Senator Blunt in developing new ways to support biomedical research that's going to impact people's lives tomorrow, a year from now, and a decade from now.
That is the UM System President, Dr. Minchew. He spoke to 93.9 The Eagle, and he says Missouri is now in better position to fulfill its mission of research education. He also says that Mizzou continues to recruit some of the top researchers in the country to work at the new facility. And more than 40 employees of Columbia 3M protesting yesterday afternoon and late morning in Columbia against the president's vaccine mandate. ABC 17 News reports about 43 employees protested along Paris Road. According to the TV station, a number of people who were driving by honking their horns in support of the 3M workers who are protesting. Our news is brought to you in this 7 o'clock hour by the Candy Factory. They make fresh daily their secret caramel sauce for their caramel apples. You can pick them up today. The Candy Factory is in downtown Columbia. Anniversary, birthday, and any day. TheCandyFactory.biz. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 7:07. In sports, the St. Louis Blues beating Los Angeles last night at Enterprise Center 3-0. Tarasenko, a couple of goals in this game. St. Louis late in the game, an empty net goal. St. Louis is now 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. That game at Enterprise Center. And in baseball, the World Series will be starting tonight, Minute Maid Park in Houston. The Astros will be hosting Atlanta in Game 1. 7:09 is the first pitch. If you look at those Houston Astro uniforms, they're not going to be a whole lot different than the ones that Enos Cabell and Nolan Ryan, a lot of the old Astros, used to wear back in the 80s. Their retro uniforms are wearing them again this year. Joe Buck again on the call tonight at 7:09. Our sports is brought to you by Missouri Heart Center. Comprehensive cardiovascular care in the heart of Missouri. MoHeartCenter.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:08. All right, Kevin, thanks so much. Great work as always. Our weather is brought to you this morning by Steve's Pest Control. You can go online, stevespestcontrol.com. 40 degrees in Columbia.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people, midmohires.com. We're not seeing or hearing anything right now to be too concerned about on the roads. Just be careful as always. One thing to keep in mind, folks, the days are continuing to get shorter, and we'll start to see that that will actually continue through December. 7:28, our sunrise this morning. Our sun will set at 6:18. So make sure you give yourself plenty of time. It's still very dark outside. Keep that in mind. And the Sorrells Overpass demolition will not be starting today. You will see some survey workers on scene today. Probably not tomorrow as well. MoDOT will update us when they decide to work and actually start the demolition process. Certainly will not be today. If you do want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Believe that we are entitled to medical choice. It's my body, it's my choice what goes into my body. It's not so much even about the vaccine itself, other than, if we allow this freedom to be taken away from us, what comes next?
That this mandate is much bigger than my job, it's much bigger than my company. This is a fundamental right that we have to be secure in our bodies. Our body, our choice, my body, my choice. And if I or somebody else doesn't feel that this is safe, they shouldn't be threatened with losing their job to take this thing. It's just gone way too far.
That's what went down in Columbia yesterday. People protesting outside of 3M, and we did reach out to 3M for a statement, and they basically say, hey, is the feds doing? We care about our employees. One of those protesters going to be joining us 8:35 this morning here on 93.9, The Eagle, a story I want to get more into, but right now I want to focus on somebody else who's not liking the way things are going, getting involved. Randy Minchew, running for Columbia mayor, along with David Seaman, Barbara Buffalo, and Tanya, I think it's Heath.
Tanya Heath. She's a professor at Mizzou, yes.
David Seaman, currently on the Columbia Public School Board. Barbara Buffalo, I know used to work for the city. I don't know if she still does, but I know she used to.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that.
Randy Minchew, by the way, he ran for the 6th Ward seat on the city council, currently held by Betsy Peters. And I had said a couple of weeks ago, whenever we learned that Mayor Brian Treese was not going to be seeking re-election, I thought, Randy Minchew, I thought would be a good choice. He did all right in that 6th Ward race. Remember, it's Columbia. Inside Columbia city limits, it is very far left. Most of it is very far left. There's 3 blue counties when you look at presidential elections. 2020, 2016, the 3 blue counties, 3 blue areas, St. Louis, Kansas City, and us. God. But I thought Randy Minchew on a citywide level, I thought would have a better chance. He's in line this morning, downtown Columbia, waiting to put a ring on it, make it official. Randy, welcome to the show. Why is it that you want to be mayor?
Well, I love Columbia. I love how the city's grown since I've been here since 1994, and we're heading in the wrong direction on several different things, and we're not keeping up with other things. Nothing really glamorous, but we have sewer issues, we have trash issues, we have streets that are not repaired. We add streets and sewers every day through new development, and those become the responsibility of the city, and we're not keeping up with what we've got. We've got a problem on our police department. We've got morale issues. I don't believe the city is as safe as it should be. So, in a couple of words, I'm running for a stronger, safer Columbia.
All right, Randy Minchew joining us on the show, in line to do what is necessary to take the steps to get onto the ballot in April when we vote for our next mayor in Columbia. We have an interesting poll posted on our on our 93.9 The Eagle website. Short survey. I would highly encourage you to get on there and take it. In a mayor, do you want their focus to be reducing crime, building a stronger business climate, attracting new jobs, homeless population? And you can fill this out and make your opinion known, because we're going to feature the results of this poll that's posted on our website right now later this week. So police, and by the way, you'd have some support in the community. There's people who have publicly said defund the police that are now saying, I have them on record as recently as a couple of weeks ago saying, we need more police. We need more police. So are you there? Are there other, I know there's 3 other folks, at least that we've talked about. Are you familiar with David Seaman, Barbara Buffalo, or Tanya Heath, any of these other folks that are running for mayor?
I know David. He played football with my son at Rockbridge, so I know David. I do not know the other 2 ladies, and I'm not familiar at all with their politics, other than the statements they made when they announced that they were running. And so all the power in the world to people who want to change things and make things better. I don't think some of the things that they're talking about fit the role of a mayor, because the people are not looking for a savior. They need somebody to come in and fix some things and help manage the city, help run the city council, and that's really the role of the mayor.
Yeah. And I would say this, too, Randy, our guest, Randy Minchew, he's filing to get on the ballot for the April election to be mayor. A couple of these folks have had some conversations with. I know Barbara Buffalo, basically, in the dealings with the cities over the years, and I'm with you. I know kind of what these people already stand for, and all of us hanging out here, all of us Wake Up Columbia family members this morning. If the mayoral election were held today, I promise you, Randy Minchew is the guy you got. Because I'll tell you this, any of those other three candidates right now, and I have not talked in depth to them, but David Seaman, he's on the show tomorrow, so we'll get a chance to meet him. But I already know a lot about him, but I don't want to, that old contempt prior to investigation. I don't want to take part in that. But if you were to elect any of those other three people right now, that is more of the same. It is more of the same. It is more of the same, if not further left than where we are right now. That's why right now it's porked a run from Randy Minchew, who's joining us on 93.9 The Eagle this morning.
Yeah, so Randy, I think in the articles that, have been written about you, you're described as a businessman, and I think that's in contrast to some of these other folks who said that they are entering the race. How does your, and so I think, business people in general have had a lot of success, compared with people who have just, had their entire careers in government or have always wanted to be a politician. So how do you think that experience, that outside government experience, will help you run a city?
Well, I mean, in business, you don't generally have a empty, bottomless pit of money to do things. You're held accountable at some point for the business you start, the money you borrow. You eventually have to show a profit, or at least not be digging the hole any deeper. And so you see in city government, you see in education, you see in different places where it's just a bottomless pit of tax money coming in. There's no accountability to things. There's no, you just ask for more money. And so programs don't have to work. Trash systems don't have to work. Nothing has to work. And you just keep going. And to me, I think you ought to hold people accountable. If you say this is going to work in a time frame that you say it's going to work in, then great. Now go knock it out, and we're all behind you. But if it doesn't work, then we need to do something different. So, I mean, I think that's the big difference in business. And I've had businesses that failed. This didn't work. And, as hard as I tried and as much money as I poured in it, but eventually you just go, well, I mean, the first lesson in hole digging is to stop digging. And so, you don't see that with the city. And I mean, if you look right now, the current city budget on the city's website, look at trends. We're not heading in the right direction, and that's by their own report. So if they reported it wrong, then they should change that. But according to the report, we're not heading in the right direction on all kinds of things, and employment by race. There's all kinds of things that people who are in there now tout that they are going to solve or they're going to fix, and that's one of the reasons I say that. I think I could do a good job because I'm not touting that I'm going to solve all of these worldly problems. But the city, the city council has to be managed. We can't overregulate like we have. I mean, there's just a variety of things.
And you should hear
in a 3-year term, you can make a difference on.
And I don't mean to cut you short. We're just running out of time, and I know Brian Hauswirth has a question. Some of the stuff that is happening in the city right now, how much money they're paying for equity and diversity training, my goodness, if you can find those numbers, it's just incredible. But you hear these people, well, we need to make Columbia more equitable and more diverse. And that stuff is great. But then you go and you see these community surveys. What are the people, what are the residents of the city of Columbia concerned about? More often than not, it's roads and potholes.
Yep.
Every single.
Exactly.
They don't care about diversity within the ranks of the city employment. They don't care. Jeez. All right. Randy Minchew, running for mayor of Columbia, in line right now to do the paperwork.
Branden, thank you. Mr. Minchew, we appreciate you joining us here live on Wake Up Columbia. I want to go back to the issue of public safety. Yesterday, we had obviously a lot of people were observing some of the activity that we had a shots fired on McKee Street here in Columbia. There were shell casings. Couple of from all indications, a couple of cars, motorists were involved. There was a Corvette that had bullet holes in it that was actually towed in downtown Columbia, and apparently the indication is that vehicle had something to do, or maybe was shot at, on McKee Street. A house was hit by gunfire as well. No one was hurt. Your take on what's happening with some of these recent shootings, and what's your take on the issue of public safety, sir?
And before you answer that question, Randy, we're not going to make you late. Somebody else isn't going to jump ahead of you and get ahead of you
No.
Okay, just making sure.
We're firmly planted.
All right.
I mean, to me, some of these are just social issues, and you see things, they go in waves, and there's an ebb and a flow, and you can look at all types of things that are causation, and all things that are types of things that are correlated to it, but have nothing to do with it. There's been studies done. To me, I don't think from the mayor's position or from City Hall's position that you can take credit for fixing those things, and I don't think you can take credit for them being there. They're social issues. I think one thing you can do is be prepared to protect the rest of the community if you have issues like that arise. And so that would be my fear, is that we're not prepared to deal with crime when it goes through a cycle, when it goes through a wave. So,
and I agree with that. It seems like, and we had this happen a couple weeks ago, and God bless, again, people getting out and getting active. But it seems like, I don't know, every couple of years we have a big, neighbors are going to rally and they're going to walk around the downtown and hold signs, stop the killing, and that's great, and I appreciate it. But it's cyclical. It happens every few years when there's a spate of shootings. People get upset. But the same root or social causes, as you alluded to, those are still there, holding up signs and protesting, hey, stop killing. There's no kid on a street corner right now going, I was going to jack somebody tonight, but I saw a sign says stop the killing, so I ain't going to do it now. That doesn't help. It does nothing, and it's cyclical. Happens all the time. The root or the social issues, as you said, they are still there. Randy, I've got to get going. Randy Minchew, live this morning in line, getting ready to do the paperwork, run to be Columbia's next mayor. And before we let you go, I do want to mention, I know you got name recognition. I know you've been around the community for a long time, but especially like last year when you ran for the 6th district seat on the city council, your name comes out with there. But I do want to mention Randy Minchew has been very involved in the community, a lot of charitable work for a lot of years here in town. And just because he doesn't right now have the name recognition that a lot of other people have, doesn't, and I just want to make sure I put that out there on you. Randy, thanks for joining us for the show. Keep us posted.
Thanks,
keep us
guys.
updated. All right. Coming up 7:25, What's Hot with Hannah? What do you got for us today?
I have an interesting love story to share.
I love stories. Business Bureau, the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau, man, they always have your back. There's guides. If you go to the website, bbb.org. Let's say you're buying a service or some product, goods, whatever, and something you never bought before. Short of asking what's your price and do you do a good job, what are some of the other questions I should be asking? That's where the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau comes in to help you. Just try it once or twice. Hiring somebody to do daycare for my kids, or I'm hiring a caterer, whatever. There are some tips. Oftentimes, you'll find good tips and suggestions on questions you should be asking of people that you're going to give your money to in exchange for services. And you'll find it on their website, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau, website, bbb.org.
Moving forward with Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
Inflation, a major concern. It's growing at a rate we haven't seen in 30 years. How much of a discussion was that in your meetings at the White House and even with your colleagues?
That's CNN asking Democratic Representative Debbie Dingell. So right now, inflation, number one concern. A lot of polling data will show you inflation, number one concern among Americans right now.
I saw someone say, though, we have less to be concerned about with inflation because there's going to be nothing to buy.
Right? Hey, bad news is inflation's really going to suck. The good news?
There's nothing to buy, so you're not going to pay higher prices.
So how did Debbie Dingell answer that question? We'll have that coming up 7:35 on 93.9 The Eagle. Right now, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
A couple has gone viral for their very interesting and unique wedding photos that were taken outside a Subway. Not a Subway station in New York City. The fast food, chain restaurant Subway. They apparently met at Subway and have been, obsessed with Subway the whole time they've been dating. And they literally took wedding photos in their suit and, wedding dress outside of their local Subway where they met. And their photos have gone viral, and you can see them on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
Very nice. So go to the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. You'll see the photos there that Hannah is talking about. Kind of cool. You can also watch Wake Up Columbia. You can also watch when you go to YouTube. You want to search 93.9. You got to put that point in there, that period, 93.9 The Eagle Live. You put it up on your smart TV. Watch, see what's happening locally in the morning. So what is Joe doing? Trying to sell the socialism package. Fox is at Story 7:30. Brian Hauswirth is here at 7:31 with the latest on that Sorrells overpass over I-70. He has that story coming up at 7:31.
The fall invasion is here. Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today to help stop the fall pest from invading your home. Call or go online to stevespestcontrol.com. It's 40 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Biden says again he's hopeful that work on the Democrats' social spending bill can wrap up this weekend, lead to passage of a bipartisan infrastructure plan.
These bills are about competitiveness versus complacency.
The president there in Kearney, New Jersey, Utah Senate Republican Mitt Romney tells Fox Democrats are under pressure to get something done.
They look and see that the president's in trouble. They see that Democrats generally are in trouble politically.
And President Biden campaigns in Virginia this evening with the Democrats' candidate for governor, Terry McAuliffe.
His opponent, Republican Glenn Youngkin, said McAuliffe needs to bring in big names to distract from his previous record as governor in 2014 through 2018.
Virginia's economy has been stalled out for 8 years.
Polling shows the two candidates are tied 1 week before Election Day.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. A military coup in Sudan has $700 million in pledged American aid put on hold. America's listening to Fox News.
.939 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 7:31 is our time. It's 40 degrees right now in Columbia, 39 degrees in Jefferson City. Sunny skies. Today's high 64. Cloudy tonight with a low near 50 degrees. Good morning. The National Weather Service in Kansas City now says 2 tornadoes touched down late Sunday afternoon near Sedalia. They were on the ground for about 1 mile. The survey teams from the National Weather Service viewing damage on Monday afternoon. They now say both tornadoes hit at about 5 p.m. Sunday. No injuries in either tornado. One of the tornadoes crossed Highway 50 just south of Sedalia Memorial Airport. The tornado's packing winds of 80 miles per hour. Also, the survey teams are still in the Fredericktown area. That's in southeast Missouri. That has now been upgraded to an EF3 tornado. That actually hit an electrical substation. That is what has caused the major problems there with power outages. The utility crews still working to restore power across southeast Missouri from those tornadoes. Meantime, here in Columbia, 3M's requirement that employees get vaccinated by December prompted a Monday protest in Columbia. Reporter Zola Crowder at our news partner ABC 17 says 43 employees protested near Paris Road.
Cars going by honking their horns in support of their protests against the vaccines here at 3M. Now, 3M is requiring employees to get vaccinated by December 8th unless they have a medical or religious exemption.
Zola Crowder reporting there on scene. KMIZ. A 3M spokeswoman says they will comply with a federal vaccination mandate because they're a federal contractor with more than 100 employees. Columbia's 3M plant has more than 400 employees. We'll learn new details here in about 90 minutes about efforts in Ashland to create a center that will train high school students and adults to meet the region's growing needs for technically skilled workers. Missouri Governor Mike Parson will speak in the 9 o'clock hour at the MU Extension Workforce Summit. It's going to be starting at the Southern Boone Area YMCA. The Southern Boone R1 School District, Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission, City of Ashland, and Rankin Tech are working together to create the center. Community is currently trying to raise $3 million in a capital campaign. Detectives say a home on McKee Street, Northeast Columbia, has been struck by gunfire. It happened Monday afternoon. No injuries reported in the incident. Happened about 1:15. ABC 17 crews reporting a downtown traffic stop and arrest are now linked to the incident. On McKee Street, KMIZ's camera crews reporting a yellow Corvette located later on Broadway downtown had several bullet holes in it. CPD describes their investigation is ongoing. If you have any information, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. And the national company Top Tracer Golf is coming to Midway Golf and Games. That's just west of Columbia. Midway Golf and Games owner Tim Rose tells 93.9 The Eagles' Fred Perry it will open in the fall of 2022. It will include a bar and grill restaurant. Construction expected to begin in the spring. They'll have 18 to 20 elevated Top Tracer bays. That'll be coming again to Midway Golf and Games. Used to be called the Pershey Creek Golf Center. If you know where that area is, that is just west of town, and that area is about to be annexed as well. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Willett Dental Associates. Willett Dental Associates. Make an appointment now, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 7:35. In sports, the St. Louis Blues beating the Los Angeles Kings last night 3-0 at the Enterprise Center downtown. Tarasenko with a couple of goals for St. Louis. The Blues pretty impressive. They are 5-0 right now for the first time in franchise history. World Series opening tonight, Minute Maid Park in Houston. The Astros hosting Atlanta in Game 1. First pitch is at 7:09 tonight. Joe Buck will have the call for you on Fox Sports. And 3 St. Louis Cardinals are up for Silver Slugger Awards. We'll learn the names of the award winners coming up in November 11th specifically. Goldschmidt, Arenado, Tyler O'Neill, all in the running for a Silver Slugger Award. 93.9 The Eagle Sports brought to you this hour by the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. It's 7:36.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Things are quiet right now on the roads. If you do want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Donald Trump Jr. selling T-shirts on his site with the words, "Guns don't kill people, Alec Baldwin kills people."
Oh, my.
Yikes.
Man. That's pretty funny. But, God. Did she say that right?
Donald Trump Jr. selling T-shirts on his site with the words, "Guns don't kill people, Alec Baldwin kills people."
Honestly, what is your reaction right now? Like, you're alone in the car, driving to work, 7:37, hanging out with your friends here on Wake Up Columbia. Are you, like, looking at your radio going, dang, that's pretty cold? Are you going, oh, my God, that's hilarious? Which camp are you in? Or are you doing a little bit of both?
Probably a little bit of both. And I'm feeling validated at my position yesterday in that so many people are saying he's not to blame, and most firearm owners would say that anytime you pick up a firearm, even if someone else has told you some information about that, that you don't just take their word for it, that there is a certain there are certain precautions that you follow every time you touch a firearm, and clearly he didn't follow the proper precautions.
By the way, the guy who is it the armorist or something, whatever it is, the guy who handed him the gun apparently had been in trouble before, had been fired from a set because of his handling of firearms. Brian, what was your reaction to that?
I just did not know that it was. I was really surprised. I had not heard that on the news. Of course, we've been busy with local stuff, but just the whole thing's just a tragedy. It really is.
Yeah, it's sad. And then Donald Trump Jr. And that's one of those things, and there's going to be a lot of people, I'm guessing, they're going to come out and, oh, I can't believe how distasteful. And yeah, you could say that's distasteful for him to do. I'd say, yeah, sure. But come on, all of these talking heads that are going to be on the TV in the next 48 hours, I'll bet a week's worth of Hannah, the producer's salary,
bruh,
that these people are actually going to be like, damn, that's pretty funny. And then they'll get on the TV and, the self-righteous indignation and how can people behave like this, blah, 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 blah. And then I would say, well, how can the president behave like this, hanging out with some second graders?
When you're president, you see all these people here? They're with you all the time. They get to ask you all kinds of questions, and you try to figure out how you can avoid answering them sometimes.
Even he thinks it's funny. I love that. He's giving the game plan to the second graders, man. Yeah, see all those reporters in there? I spend my day trying to figure out how I'm not going to take questions from them. He's put it out there. That would be like somebody calling China and say, hey, if we sucker punch you, we're going to come at you from the western flank. Is giving away the game plan. What Joe's doing there.
I can't even laugh anymore. It's just so sad, laughing about lack of transparency and not only purposefully evading the questions, even if he did try to answer them, he's so incompetent that we don't get a straight answer anyway.
And then when somebody is asked a pointed question, they give a BS answer. Democrat Representative Debbie Dingell on CNN yesterday. You can look at any polling. You could fact check us right now, but most polls would show that inflation is one of the concerns most of us are thinking about. Man, we're driving home at night, thinking about inflation. Gas, I can't find gas. A week ago, I paid $2.99 a gallon. A week ago, and all of a sudden it's up to $3.09. Let's go, Branden. Jeez. When people are thinking about stuff, when they're going home from when they're getting ready in the morning and doing stuff, and maybe even like when they try to call it a day and they lay down in bed at night, you're trying to sleep, but you can't because your head's spinning and you're thinking about all these things, what I did today, what do I got to do tomorrow, and inflation. It's inflation. So Democrat Representative Debbie Dingell was asked on CNN, okay, listen, I'm trying to put together this infrastructure package. Have you talked about what it is that concerns Americans the most? Here's how she answered the question.
So actually probably wasn't as much a discussion.
That's all you need to know. You don't need the rest for context there. No, seriously, she didn't say anything. But he's like, no, we know that's what concerns Americans, but here's what's important to us. And I go back to the comments that Randy Minchew just made on this show just minutes ago. Randy Minchew and three other folks at least that we know of lined up downtown Columbia this morning, waiting to do the paperwork to get on the ballot to become Columbia's mayor in the next election. And we got to talking about it. It was a pretty good conversation. People get into positions of leadership and they think this is important, that's important. And for example, probably the city of Columbia and the money they are dumping into, equity training and all this. And I'm sure there's some good stuff there. A lot of it's crap and everybody knows it because they think that's important. Somebody right now, in any other situation, hitting potholes, looking for a job, whatever, probably thinking, I don't care about your equity and diversity training. As a resident of the city of Columbia, here's what I'm concerned about. But you hear that. That's the left's stance on things. You see it in Columbia, and you see it with this Debbie Dingle. She was asked, Americans are concerned about inflation. Have you talked about that? Not really. No. Nothing doing. Welcome into the show. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
There's Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning.
Hannah, the producer, is here.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. If there's something we can do for you this morning, 874-9390. 874-9390. Good morning, y'all. I would say that was in very poor taste. He's referring to Trump Jr. doing the shirt. Says guns don't kill people. Alec Baldwin kills people. I'm a conservative, and I'm a gun owner, but Mr. Baldwin was at fault for not checking to see if the weapon was loaded. I think it's pretty much what everybody is saying. Ultimately, no matter how many, even in Hollywood, no matter how many handlers you have or your armorist or whatever they call it, yeah, it's absolutely, guns in your hand, you got to make sure it's safe. Ray, thank you for that. Another tech. We were talking, what's hot with Hannah today? We do it every morning at 7:25-ish.
Uh-huh.
Couple had a first date at Subway, or they met at Subway.
They met at Subway, yeah.
Met at Subway, hung out for a couple years and thought, she can cook all right and she looks good. And she thought, he's got a sense of humor and he acts like he's listening to me. Call it good. They decide to get married.
Wow, I wonder why you have 2 failed marriages.
They weren't failed. They were successful. I got out of them successfully.
Okay.
But interesting. Somebody called and talked about an interesting place where they had a first date or where they met.
Yeah, so Sam called in and said that his first date with his wife was at IHOP and that they periodically go back to IHOP to reminisce on their first date. And he also said that a hot date night out for them typically ends at like Sam's Club or Walmart.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes. Stephanie, you remember your first date?
No.
Do you remember you stuffed your husband in the back of the airplane while you did first class over the weekend? Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
All right. Hannah, you remember your first date?
Yeah, so my boyfriend and I met online, and we texted and talked on the phone for a couple weeks, and we met up in Jefferson City because that was halfway for us, and we went to Walmart.
Which can be good.
Yeah, so we wanted somewhere. We didn't want to go to a movie because we wanted somewhere where we could actually talk.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of wandered around Walmart, just talking and getting to know each other, and then we went to dinner.
Which I think is a great idea because people a lot of times, we'll go to a movie. And sometimes when you're in a smaller town, your options might be limited. But yeah, you go to a movie and then sit for a couple hours and it's in silence. Maybe you have something to talk about afterwards and go on to the movies. But one of my favorite first date things was let's go play racquetball. And then we'd get in the court. Yeah, let's do something. Let's play racquetball. And get her in the gym and get into the racquetball court and say, are you right-handed or left-handed? And, of course, anybody who is a racquetball aficionado knows this, that if you're right-handed, you play racquetball with the opposite hand. So if you're right-handed, you play racquetball with the left hand. So I would tell my dates this. It is not true.
Chris and I once went on a racquetball date. It didn't go so well.
What happened?
I hit him really hard with the ball because I'm not very good at racquetball, and it left. It was like a white spot. It wasn't even a bruise. It just killed the skin cells. He was not happy.
Dang.
But I do have a girlfriend who met her husband here in Columbia, and on their wedding day we went to McGinty's, that bar that's right there behind the break time on Stadium.
Oh yeah, Stadium and Old 63.
Yeah, and we went there on their wedding day and took a picture. Everyone took a shot or something, and I think that's I like the Subway picture because it's kind of unique to your couple and kind of tells your story, and I think that's cute.
I like that too because it's not. The whole thing, get married in a church, a dress. Of course, this comes from somebody who's been married twice, or I've done that twice. No interest in ever doing it again, figuratively and literally. But the whole thing, you dress up, and if I show you pictures of somebody's wedding photos, here they are in the church, or I show you pictures of somebody's wedding photos in a Subway, which one are you going to remember? you're not gonna remember the couple that got married in the church. You're gonna remember the couple that got married at Subway.
Well, they didn't get married at Subway. They just took pictures before their ceremony in front of Subway.
Stuart says, I met my first wife, the Silver Bullet, on Paris Road. And Tad is fact-checking me. It's not armorist, Branden. It's armorer.
Okay. Like an arborist is like an arborist is like a tree person, right? You're getting those two things conflated.
It's arborer. It's not
Yes.
arborist. It's arborer.
We're branching out this morning.
Ah, I get it.
So, Stephanie Bell, tell us about your trip. Trying to get home. Spent a week in Florida.
Okay, so we departed from Chicago at 7:30. We were going to land in Columbia at 9. And we hit a bird. I think we got that far yesterday. Hit a bird, turned around, came back to Chicago, landed back in Chicago, and that took us about an hour. So then they scraped the bird from the windshield, and at that point, and all the feathers, and at that point they decided we needed to refuel. So then we had to wait a little bit longer.
Good thing this bird died crashing into our windshield because now we need fuel.
Yeah, so we need fuel. All the while, I know the weather is coming in to Columbia, Saturday night. So then we take off. We get to Columbia. We get super low to where, you can see lights. Although it was cloudy, I couldn't quite see anything. And so you're like, okay, I'm about to, brace for impact or whatever. And then all of a sudden, we're zooming and pulling up like you're taking off again. And I'm like, ooh, that's not good.
Oh, you almost had it.
Yeah. And so then it took about 10 minutes for the pilot to come online, and he says, we missed the runway or whatever, and so we're going to try again.
Wait, we missed?
Yeah.
So first we hit a bird, and now we missed the runway.
We had an attempt. We're going to try. We're going to circle back, try again. And so I'm like, okay, here we go. You lower. You can hear the landing gear come down. I'm like, okay. We're so close. And then zoom, back, the same thing. We're pulling up.
Psych.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh, gosh. And so it's like, now we're going to divert. Are we going to divert to someplace helpful?
Where'd you go?
Des Moines.
Oh, man.
So then Des Moines is super angry that we're in Des Moines because their airport's closed. And now they're fighting with our people, and they're telling us we have to go back to Chicago. And now I feel like I'm going to be on a viral video because everyone on the plane is like, we've already been to Chicago twice.
Wow.
We really do not want to go back to Chicago. And Des Moines like, go back to Chicago. And so there's lots of fighting. We're sitting on the tarmac in Des Moines for about 2 hours before. And they're saying also, if you get off now, then you don't get compensated for anything because it's weather and you need to go back to Chicago. Eventually, our crew times out because of all of the fighting. And so now we can't go back to Chicago. So anyway, then we spend another hour waiting to deplane and get all of our bags. So at 2 a.m, we stayed in Des Moines. We rented a car. Thankfully, they had rental cars. And on Sunday morning, we drove like blazes out of Des Moines down here to try to beat the tornadoes. And I think got home about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It by far the worst 24 hours of my life.
Well, we are glad that you are back with us
Thank
here
you.
on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. Something really cool on our website I want to turn you on to. We'll have that coming up 7:55 on 93.9 The Eagle.
An eye on the nation, an eagle eye on mid-Missouri. Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. 93.9 The Eagle.
Currently in our city, and the lawlessness that is happening is due to two things. One, the police have chosen to not fulfill their oath of office.
My goodness, that's Ilhan Omar. And I know not the best audio, awfully echoey there, but she's saying cops aren't doing a good job right now. Remember, this is the same person who wanted to defund the police. She is responsible for, really, for the collective unease that a lot of people in law enforcement right now have with their jobs. I feel like they get no support. Everybody's out to get them. And it's because of her. And now police just aren't doing their jobs. Right? I don't know.
Ridiculous.
Am I supposed to be mad? Am I supposed to laugh? Am I supposed to use foul language? Because there's only one word to describe all this stuff.
Hypocrisy.
It's hypocrisy. She wanted police to fund it. Now she's saying, well, they're just not doing their jobs now. You have Joe Biden. You need to wear a mask. You need to do this. You need to do that. Yesterday, he gets done with some presser. He coughs right into his hand. A second grader, who he was also hanging out with second graders yesterday, a second grader knows you don't cough in your hand and then especially go and shake other people's hands. But he did it. Sam Page, county executive in St. Louis. He wants people in the St. Louis region, wants them to mask up, get vaccinated and all that stuff. Dude shows up at a hockey game without a mask, and there's pictures all over St. Louis media. And he's like, well, I was following the rules, just not at that point in time. It all leads back to hypocrisy. All this hypocrisy leads back to one political party. It's the Democrats, whether we see it locally, whether we see it statewide, whether we see it nationally. It's hypocrisy. So what is Joe doing today to sell this socialism package? Fox has that story at 8 o'clock. Brian Hauswirth is here. Why is Governor Parson in town today? He has that story at 8:03.
Jabbing millions of children.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is Pfizer's plan. And right now, an FDA panel is meeting considering approving a smaller dose of the COVID vaccine for kids age 5 to 11.
But Pfizer and other drug companies vying for approval don't just have to convince the FDA and the CDC. They have to convince parents amid side effects from the vaccine like heart inflammation that scientists say are rare.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Nearly 78% of Americans 12 and older have had at least one COVID vaccine dose. Those who haven't or refuse here and abroad will face stricter travel rules. Fox's Jared Halpern has more live.
The U.S. is lifting travel restrictions for much of the world in about 2 weeks, but will add strict standards for entry for unvaccinated travelers returning to the states. Most adults traveling to the U.S. will need to prove full vaccination beginning November 8th, plus a negative COVID test within 3 days of travel. For those who cannot provide proof of full vaccination, a negative COVID test within 1 day of departure will be required. That same one-day testing requirement will also apply to unvaccinated Americans returning home. Dave.
Jared, President Biden's about to have a Zoom call with other world leaders of 10 Southeast Asian nations in a virtual summit rolling out a $100 million initiative to improve U.S. relations with them. This as Democrats in Congress keep trying to finalize a social spending plan that may end up half the initial $3.5 trillion price tag. How to fund it remains an issue.
Since Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema objects to raising corporate taxes, the White House has been floating another idea: tax the assets of billionaires like we tax income. Democrats on the Senate Finance Committee are preparing to roll out the plan, saying Americans are tired of the ultra-rich not paying their share. But Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell called it a harebrained scheme.
Fox's Jill Nato. As courts fight over Texas abortion law play out, Oklahoma Supreme Court has blocked 3 abortion restrictions from going into effect next week. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 40 degrees right now in Columbia. It's 42 degrees in Jefferson City. We're expecting sunny skies. Today's high 64. Sunrise this morning. Beautiful. Going to be a gorgeous day today for the big Workforce Development Summit going on in Ashland. However, rain returns to the forecast. We'll have a complete forecast check with meteorologist Kevin Schneider here in a few moments. Good morning. The National Weather Service now confirming 2 tornadoes touched down late Sunday afternoon in the Sedalia area. One southeast of town, the other along heavily traveled Highway 50. No injuries from the EF0 tornadoes. They had 80-mile-per-hour winds. NWS survey teams say both tornadoes touched down about 5 p.m. on Sunday. They were on the ground for approximately 1 mile. Missouri's largest electric utility getting into the Bitcoin business.
Missouri's largest utility has set up a data center at the site of one of its coal-fired power plants that is using to mine the internet for Bitcoins. Ammon officials say they believe the utility is one of the first regulated U.S. utilities mining cryptocurrencies. Company's already collected more than 20 Bitcoins, valued as of Friday at more than $60,000 apiece. John Marsh, the Eagle, 93.9.
You'll soon see the national company Top Tracer Golf at the Midway Golf and Games just west of Columbia. The Midway Golf and Games owner, Tim Roast made the announcement Monday afternoon on the Eagle, telling host Fred Perry the building will include a bar and grill restaurant. They will have 18 to 20 elevated top tracer bays. Each bay can accommodate 6 customers, and construction is expected to begin in the spring. Former Columbia City Council candidate Randy Minchew and Mizzou journalism adjunct professor Tanya Heath are now running for mayor, both announcing their runs on Monday. Mr. Minchew was on Wake Up Columbia about an hour ago. He's focusing on public safety and more officers and more fire stations. He's also concerned about trash. As for Ms. Heath, she wants to strengthen the future of businesses and neighborhood communities. She says Columbia is not a one-size-fits-all community. Missouri's governor will be delivering opening remarks here in approximately an hour in Ashland, a workforce summit aimed at meeting the area's growing need for technically skilled workers. A project aimed at building a center to train high school students and adults has received a $4 million federal grant. The Ashland area community is now working to raise an additional $3 million. The center's curriculum would focus on construction trades, medical technology, and information technology. Governor Parson will speak at the summit. It's taking place at the Southern Boone Area YMCA. A home on Northeast Columbia's McKee Street struck by gunfire Monday afternoon. Detectives have made 1 arrest in this case, according to our news partner ABC 17. CPD says shots were fired Monday, 1:15, the 1700 block of McKee near Clark Lane. No injuries reported. ABC 17 News reports a downtown traffic stop and arrest are now linked to the McKee Street incident. KMIZ reports a yellow Corvette that had a number of bullet holes in it was later found downtown. The person driving that vehicle has been detained. University of Missouri's top leader says the recent visit by the National Institutes of Health Director Dr. Francis Collins to NextGen's building in Columbia signifies the importance of the bond between Mr. Collins and Senator Roy Blunt.
Personal bond, but also professional bond with Senator Blunt in developing new ways to support biomedical research that's going to impact people's lives tomorrow, a year from now, and a decade from now.
The UM System President Dr. Minchew says Missouri now has all the crucial elements to even better fulfill its mission of research, education, and service to Missouri. And more than 40 employees of Columbia 3M protested outside the plant on Monday, outside of the facility on Paris Road. They're opposed to President Biden's vaccine mandate. The upcoming federal rule will require companies with 100 or more employees to be vaccinated or regularly tested. ABC 17 News reports Monday's protest was against 3M's requirement that employees be vaccinated by December the 8th. 3M's Jennifer Ehrlich in St. Paul, Minnesota tells 93.9 The Eagle they will comply with the federal vaccination mandate because they are a federal contractor with more than 100 employees. She says 3M cares about its employees and their families. They want them to be healthy and safe, their objective since the pandemic began. She says they value their employees and they hope they choose to stay at 3M. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live on this Tuesday morning by the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 8:07. In sports, the World Series will be opening tonight at Minute Maid Park in Houston. The Houston Astros, great tradition. Both of these teams have great tradition. Houston Astros and Atlanta actually used to be at one time in the same division, much less the same league. Years ago, they were both in the National League West. Today, they'll face each other in the World Series. First pitch, game 1, 7:09 on Fox. St. Louis and Joe Buck will have the call on Fox Sports. In hockey, the Blues beat the L.A. Kings last night, 3-0, Enterprise Center, downtown St. Louis. Tarasenko, a couple of goals for the Blues, 5-0, first time in franchise history. 93.9 The Eagle Sports, brought to you by Woods Basement Systems, the most reviewed contractor for all things with your basement. 800-388-9326 for a free estimate. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 8:08. All right, Kevin, thank you, and great work as always this morning. Our weather is brought to you by Steve's Pest Control. Go online, stevespestcontrol.com. 40 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Things are quiet on the roads. If you do want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Believe that we are entitled to medical choice. It's my body, it's my choice what goes into my body. It's not so much even about the vaccine itself, other than, if we allow this freedom to be taken away from us, what comes next?
That this mandate is much bigger than my job, much bigger than my company. This is a fundamental right that we have to be secure in our bodies. Our body, our choice, my body, my choice. And if I or somebody else doesn't feel that this is safe, they shouldn't be threatened with losing their job to take this thing. It's just gone way too far.
Protesters 3M in Columbia yesterday. One of those protesters is going to be joining us 8:35 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. And I'll tell you some of the folks in that audio, by the way, from KOMU. One of the folks telling them just how serious they are about this.
I am definitely willing to lose my job for this. I'm willing to die for this issue.
He's willing to lose his job for this, over this mandate. And it doesn't mean he's against the vaccination. He is against the mandate. People that want him to be mandated, like Joe, they say they're anti-vax just because you don't want to get the vax. And I don't think that's what it's not about the vaccine. It's about the choice. So I think we should start, and they say you're an anti-vaxxer if you don't want the vax. There's a difference between anti-vaxxers and people that are saying, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't think it's right, the fact that you mandate. I think we start, anybody who is in favor of mandates, maybe not anybody, still maybe need to make some allowances, call them anti-American. If I'm anti-vax because I don't believe that you should mandate people to do this, then I'm going to call you an anti-American because your ideas are anti-American. And if you can argue around that, let me know, because nobody's been able to do it yet. Sounds good so far. 874-9390. Here's Stephanie Bell. Good morning. There's Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning, sir.
Hannah, the producer, is here.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. Want to bring in Josiah Mendez. He is president, Mizzou College Republicans. Been on the show before. Gives presentations all across town. Josiah, I want to welcome you into the show. I know you did another presentation Friday, Columbia Pachyderms. What did you talk about there Friday? What were a couple of the big topics on your mind Friday?
I was talking about what I've been doing on campus as the leader of Conservative Minds and the interactions we've had with other student organizations. And I also touched on my dad's story and his migration to this country, alongside what I plan to do in the future and the future of conservatism. So,
Josiah Mendez is president, Mizzou College Republicans. He's told the story of his father before. His father came here. He's a United States citizen, so Josiah Mendez has much love for our country, the United States of America. I want to ask you, you're a young conservative mind. Do you think I'm going too far in saying if people want vaccinate, because they say if you don't want the mandate, you're anti-vax. I think that's a load of crap to give it that name. And if you have your radio on, if you could turn that down a little bit for us, Josiah. But do you think it's going too far to say, well, people that want the mandate, we're going to call you anti-American?
Definitely, especially here at the university. I would say that there's a good portion of students who, although they might believe in the vaccine, they're against its mandate on the basis of freedom. And personally, I am someone who has gotten the vaccine as soon as I could, alongside the rest of my family. I had COVID back in January, so I understand that it has very serious implications. However, I think what it ultimately comes down to is, what are you willing to subject other people to? And concerns me when I see that people are almost happy when they see that there might be limited freedom for others around them.
Let me ask you this. Last time you were here, you said that you were basically, you're treated pretty well on campus. We know that's not always been the story with conservatives, whether it's at Mizzou, Stevens College, Columbia College, or probably almost any college campus across America. Typically conservatives not treated well. And you told us you'd been treated, for the most part, you've never really had any issues there.
Yeah. And that was, there was some incidents in the last 2 weeks that changed that a little bit. And it wasn't coming directly from the university. It was coming purely from experiences I had with other students, such as a student reporter who came up to me. He was reporting on the sexual assault awareness protest that was happening in Speaker Circle and prefaces the entire interview by saying something around the lines of, I know you guys, meaning Republicans, are on the other side of this issue, meaning rape, but I wanted to get your opinion. Yeah.
What? So that's why he posited the question, or did that actually, was that part of his article that he wrote?
No, that's
just what he said.
The first thing he said to me.
Well, he said, I know you guys are on. So it's a rape protest, a bunch of students there saying, hey, listen, something needs to be done. And the guy saying, I know you're on the opposite side of the issue. What the hell does that mean?
That's exactly what I wanted to know.
Man. Any other incidents, been anything else happening on campus?
You've got some fraternity issues, right? What's the word on the street about all of that going on?
So I'm a member of Greek Life and live in Greek Town, and obviously all fraternal social events are suspended indefinitely. And from what I understand, Fiji has had their charter and recognition from the university pulled. So my guess is that a permanent ban on them is likely. So Phi Gamma Delta is probably gone from the university forever.
All right. By the way, tomorrow on the show, and I don't know what the story is. That's why we're going to have this guy, and his name is Eli Hoff, and trying to get info. I don't know if it's from the school or from the campus police department, but he had to do a sunshine request because he was having a hard time getting some documents, and because of that, he's some stuff out there. He's on the show tomorrow here at 8:10 on 93.9. The Eagle. Josiah, we appreciate you getting out. I saw you at the chili dinner Saturday night. It was good to see you and some other young Republicans there. And hopefully you guys can get out and message more to a younger generation of conservatives.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Hang tough. We appreciate you being on Wake Up Columbia this morning on 93.9 The Eagle. What's hot with Hannah this morning was a story about this couple. They met at a Subway. Ended up, they said, hey, let's get married. You'll do. It'll work.
You have such a cynical view on marriage. Earlier you said that you love love.
I do.
That's not the vibe I'm getting right now.
Marriage doesn't really have anything to do with love, though. They're not necessarily interchangeable. You can love somebody without marrying them, and you can marry somebody you don't love. Speaking from experience. They're not the same thing. Those are two very different things. But great story. Couple, they meet at Subway. They get married, and so they did photos at Subway.
Yes.
All right. So we're asking folks, interesting places you've met off the text. 874. Hannah met her boyfriend, Branden, online, but first date was a Walmart. And I like that. I got to tell you, I like it.
Yeah.
Because you're out, and I guess you're making fun of people.
What?
You're people watching at Walmart.
Well, I mean, not really, but it could have been an option, I guess.
Yeah, but it's something to talk about, and you get to know each other as opposed to going to a movie, and dinner can be so formal sometimes, and you're sitting right across from each other.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of aimlessly wandered around Walmart for a while and then went and got dinner.
I love that, and here we are 2 years later still sharing that story.
Yep.
Tad says, I took my future wife to the state's experimental farm ponds on our first date. I could see that. Outdoors, maybe a little fishing. Dusty, best or first, second date? Going shooting. I'm originally from Southwest Oklahoma. More and I'm quoting Dusty here, a more rednecker place
Oh boy.
than mid-Missouri.
I assume you've seen the viral video about the gal who picked the guy up and then the guy ordered 100 tacos
Oh
on their
my
first
gosh.
date from Taco Bell.
I've seen it. Branden probably hasn't.
I've seen ones. There's been an issue before. If this is the same concept I'm thinking of, a guy will have these women go out and he'll order a bunch of food and then leaves.
No.
No.
No, they went back to his house and he lived with his dad and started eating the tacos. And then she decided at that point she needed to leave.
Pretty smart. 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. This is Wake Up Columbia. Welcome into the show. I love some of these questions we get. Somebody wants to know, so what's going to happen to that frat house? I imagine somebody.
It's for sale.
Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
Chuck, it was such a caring corporate speech about wanting its employees to be healthy. I'm assuming he's referring to 3M, but wouldn't it be nice if the corporation cared more about constitutional freedom? They should be standing behind the folks against the unconstitutional mandate. People say they're unconstitutional, and I guess you could find a constitutional expert that would argue they're not constitutional. I would find one that say they are constitutional. I don't know, but 3M, it's not necessarily the company. They fall under that, guys, because they're a federal contractor. They have to. But, Chuck, man, I hear what you're saying. And here's what I'd like to focus on. More these people at 3M, God bless them. They're getting out, they're doing something. We've heard some of these people and talking to KOMU. I mean, this guy's willing to lose his job and then some.
I am definitely willing to lose my job for this. I'm willing to die for this
He
issue.
says he's willing to die. And we saw people in California, they're saying, hey, we're going to do mandate-free Mondays to defy Governor Gavin Newsom's orders there. Kay Ivey in Alabama is saying, hey, state offices, we're not following this federal mandate. We ain't doing it. In New York, first responders, thousands of them marching, saying this is BS.
And the problem with the constitutionality is it hasn't been addressed by the court, but there is one Supreme Court decision back when we had smallpox, and they prosecuted a guy, and I think he got a fine for $5. Anyway, they prosecuted the guy for not getting the shot, and the court upheld the mandate. And so when people are going to court, that's what they're facing. And so it's an uphill battle, and that's the court that's on the books, and that's what the court's going to have to consider.
God bless them for doing something. Off the text, 874-9390 from Aaron. He sends a picture of $55 in gas and only 17 gallons with the caption, "Let's go, Branden." I hear you, bud. Let me get this right. This is in reference to our conversation with Josiah Mendoza, or Josiah Mendez, president of the Mizzou College Republicans, saying he was being asked, this was at a rape protest, or a protest, folks wanting Mizzou officials to do more, and a reporter comes up to him and says, hey, being that you're with the College Republicans, I know you're on the opposite side of this issue. I don't even know what that means. So Aaron says, let me get this right. As a conservative, I am pro-rape. Yeah, I don't get the thinking on some of these folks either, Aaron. Morning Bell is coming up. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. What do you have for us today?
What is Patrick Mahomes' fiance up to now?
What is she doing? I'm kind of interested. One reason that you should be calling Salter now, Christmas decorations. Listen, we're almost into November now. And people, I will tell you right now, they're already calling Salter Lawn Service. They're saying, hey, will you come out and do my lights, put up my Christmas lights? And they're saying yes. So that's the one call when you're calling Salter Lawn Service Day. That's what you want to call them about, putting up Christmas lights. I love putting up Christmas lights. Tradition, it's fun. Signals, hey, Christmas is here. And then taking them down is not so fun. And that's why you call Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all.
Everyone else takes it too seriously. Thank God you get it. This is Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert, 93.9 The Eagle.
I'm really excited to see what you think about this. Go to our website, 939theeagle.com. You see the weekly news poll. It's talking about what kind of qualities do you want in a mayor? What do you want the mayor, whether the cities, Columbia, Ashland, Jefferson City, Fulton, Mexico, Moberly, whatever it is, what should be the mayor's number one concern? This as it relates to Columbia. You get on the website and you'll see some options. You can rank them, reducing crime in Columbia, or is it reducing the homeless population? Do want to see what you think. I think we wrapped that up in the middle of this week, so check out that poll on our website, 939theeagle.com. It's 8:28, time for the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news with a little twist that only Stephanie can give you.
So the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Kansas City is going to get a new soccer stadium. So you might have heard about how St. Louis is building this huge soccer stadium, but they're saying this is one of the few in the world that would actually be dedicated to a women's pro soccer team. And there are two owners plus Patrick Mahomes' fiance is helping finance this deal. And so it's really exciting for Kansas City. And I thought particularly exciting given the news that I guess the World Cup folks were in Kansas City last week. And we know what these kinds of sporting events, how much money that could bring to our state and be, for our hospitality industry that's been hurting so bad. It brings tons of visitors. So these types of things are huge. And I think Missouri, with the new stadium in St. Louis, potentially this new women's stadium in Kansas City, and potentially, in the running for this World Cup, for one of those locations for the World Cup. I mean, huge.
The World Cup, that's kind of a huge thing. And I know a lot of us around here aren't necessarily fans of soccer. It's one of the least watched sports on TV in America. Most watched sport worldwide on TV.
Yeah, but putting Missouri on the map for soccer would be huge for our state.
Number one sport worldwide is soccer, and that would be a pretty big deal. Coming up, Fox News is here. Can you believe the border crisis is getting worse? And Brian Hauswirth is here. When is construction on the Sorrells Road overpass? When is that going to start affecting your traffic? He has details on that. And then one of these protesters, one of the 3M protesters, he's going to be joining us at 8:35. His name is George Bass. We'll get his story here on 93.9 The Eagle. I have your ABC 17 storm track forecast up to 64 today. Plenty of sunshine, by the way. Then tonight, 50. Tomorrow, rain is likely. Tomorrow's high is going to be 63. Thursday, more rain, 51. Right now, 42. The fall invasion is here. Yeah, call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today to stop the fall pest from invading your home. Call or go online to stevespestcontrol.com.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Whether to recommend Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine for younger kids is being discussed today by a Food and Drug Administration advisory panel. Fox's Evan Brown.
Data from Pfizer and BioNTech states children ages 5 to 11 acquired immune protection against coronavirus when receiving a lower dose of their vaccine. It's still a double dose given 3 weeks apart. The FDA's own analysis does show a small risk of heart inflammation among test subjects.
Most of those cases cleared up quickly. A royal wedding in Japan ends with the bride, Princess Mako, giving up her title to marry her college sweetheart, a lawyer, a commoner not in the extended royal family.
The engagement was turbulent. Mako's new husband, Kei Komuro, was named in a financial dispute, and media scrutiny was so intense, Mako was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. The couple planned to live in the United States.
That's Fox's Simon Owen. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 42 right now in Columbia. It's 40 degrees in Jefferson City. We're expecting a high today of around 60 degrees. Beautiful day for the Workforce Summit. Many of you heading to Ashland as we speak, and more on that in a moment. Good morning, everyone. Former Columbia City Council candidate Randy Minchew and Mizzou journalism adjunct instructor Tanya Heath are running for mayor, both announcing their runs on Monday. Mr. Minchew making his announcement on Fred Perry's show yesterday afternoon here on 93.9 The Eagle. He is focusing on public safety, more fire stations, more police, and improved trash collection. As for Ms. Heath, she wants to strengthen the future of businesses and neighborhood communities. She says Columbia is not a one-size-fits one-size-fits-all community. The current mayor, Brian Treese, is not seeking re-election. Mr. Treese is finishing his second term as mayor. Missouri's governor will be delivering opening remarks here in a little more than a half an hour in Ashland at a workforce summit aimed at meeting the area's growing need for technically skilled workers. It's a project aimed at building a center to train high school students and adults. They've received a $4 million federal grant. The Ashland area community is now working to raise an additional $3 million. The center's curriculum would focus on construction trades, medical technology, and information technology. Governor Parson will be speaking later this morning at the summit. It's taking place at the Southern Boone Area YMCA. The state legislature has also been involved in this effort. State Representative Sarah Walsh led the effort in the Missouri House. Senator Rowden in the Senate to obtain about $1 million in funding for this facility. It also involves Rankin Technical College. Today's summit is being hosted by MU Extension. You'll hear from the governor later. He'll be speaking in the 9 o'clock hour at the facility there in Ashland, which is brand new, by the way, the brand new YMCA in southern Boone County. University of Missouri's top leader says the recent visit by the National Institutes of Health Director, Dr. Francis Collins, to NextGen in Columbia signifies the importance of the bond between Dr. Collins and Senator Blunt.
Personal bond, but also professional bond with Senator Blunt in developing new ways to support biomedical research that's going to impact people's lives tomorrow, a year from now, and a decade from now.
HUM System President Dr. Minchew, he says Missouri now has all the crucial elements to even better fulfill its mission of service to Missouri as well as research and education. MoDOT has not picked a demolition date as of right now as far as the contract with Emery Sapp & Sons to demolish the Sorrells overpass, heavily damaged by a truck last week. There will be survey teams in the area for at least the next day or so. We won't have any impact to the roads today in terms of traffic with demolition. They have not chosen a demolition date as of yet. It certainly won't be today. We'll update you as soon as we hear from MoDOT. And Midway Golf and Games bringing the national company Top Tracer to their Midway location just off I-70. It's not Top Golf, but some say it's very similar. According to our colleagues at Inside Columbia Magazine and Fred Perry, the building will be between 8,000 and 12,000 square feet. It will include a bar and a grill restaurant, 18 to 20 elevated Top Tracer bays, and each of the bays can accommodate 6 customers. The aim is to begin construction in the spring. They're expecting to open in the fall of 2022. Again, that is called Midway Golf and Games. Many of you remember it as Pershing Creek Golf Center. It's just west of Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 8:35. In sports, the Blues beat Los Angeles last night. Enterprise Center in St. Louis, 3-0. One of those was an empty net goal late in the game. Tarasenko with 2 goals for St. Louis, 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. World Series opening tonight, Minute Maid Park in Houston. The Astros hosting Atlanta in Game 1. First pitch, 7:09 on Fox. St. Louis and Joe Buck will have the call for you tonight on Fox Sports. Many of you might remember the Astros and the Braves used to play together in the old National League West Division. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you this hour by the Callaway Bank. Our news time, 8:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check is presented by MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Things have been quiet on the roads. Again, for those of you on I-70, nothing to worry about today at the Sorrells overpass. There'll be no impact. You will see some workers on the bridge and near it. Survey teams from MoDOT and Emery Sapp & Sons. A demolition date has not been chosen as of yet. It won't be today. Probably not tomorrow either. As soon as we hear something new from MoDOT, we'll pass it along to you. They have until November the 8th to demolish that bridge. So they do have some time, but they have to get the survey work done first. We'll have another update for you coming your way at 9:03. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Donald Trump Jr. selling T-shirts on his site with the words, "Guns don't kill people, Alec Baldwin kills people."
Oh, how do you react to that? Oh, my. It's okay.
I mean, do you follow Trump Jr. on social media? It's pretty, I mean, it's... It's consistent with his social media presence.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a very good way of putting it. Wow, that's funny, but you can imagine. And I bet everybody on TV that's going to go out, they're going to go out on the TV today, and people are going to criticize Trump Jr. for putting out shirts that say, guns don't kill people, Alec Baldwin kills people. Everybody that's going to come on the TV today and lambaste Trump Jr. for saying that, I'm betting a week's worth of Hannah, the producer's salary, that they laughed at that when they first heard that story. They're like, man, not only is that funny, but that's a sick burn. Holy cow. Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Columbia. That is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
There's Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
My name is Branden. Brian Hauswirth off to catch up with the governor, who is in town today. Cool things happening in Ashland, as always. But today, there'll be a lot of activity taking place around Ashland.
Yeah, they're doing this workforce summit, and it's a lot of big time partners coming together to talk about workforce. And this Rankin project that we talked about before on the show is huge for Ashland. Not only did we get like a big grant for the project, we also got some state money to kind of complete this. And, really, we're kind of seeing that we need more technical workers out there. And not just, I think people have a narrow version of, a narrow scope of technical workers, but that includes people who, do tech, do computers, do nursing, people who, do these types of works that maybe you don't need to go get a 4-year degree, and that you can, do it efficiently. You can do it for cheap, right? Some of these programs cost less than a 4-year university, and then a lot of these people out-earn those people who had a 4-year degree with a business degree or something. So it's really important, and this type of programming right here in mid-Missouri could help us keep more kids and folks local, and also like for adults who are thinking about a career change, or maybe who are forced to quit their job because of a vaccine mandate and need to make a career shift. This would give adults in our community additional opportunities. So really exciting project, really excited to have so many people in Ashland today and be talking about these issues that really do matter.
Sarah Walsh will be here tomorrow, 6:35, to talk about that. So Brian Hauswirth off to go cover the governor, who is in town today. Quentin, text 874-9390, 874-9390. Says right now there's about 15 folks in front of 3M picketing, protesting. We saw, approaching 50 folks yesterday. One of those protesters, George Bass, joining us on the show now. George, thanks for joining us. Are you out protesting this morning, too?
No, I'm not.
All right.
I went in and finished my shift last night, but I'm on the radio live.
So let me, how does that work then? You guys are protesting, and our news director did reach out to 3M, and they're saying, hey, we do care about the safety of our employees. Is management there? Are they being cool to you guys and everything, though? I mean, you said you came off the streets and you go finish your shift up. They're being cool?
Yes, they are. They've been very cooperative, yeah. Jim, the plant manager's done a great job.
Did you guys...
It's totally understanding upon it, though.
Was there some concern before you guys went out, like, hey, we believe in this, and yeah, we're going to do it, and we know it's not directly the plant's fault, it's Joe Biden's fault because of this mandate stuff. Did you have concerns beforehand that there might be some backlash if you guys were to go out and protest?
Yes, we all did. We feared there would be some backlash behind it. We're glad it wasn't, because we do have a right to protest, so it should be like freedom over fear, it's our body, our choice.
Freedom over fear. I like that. And there's more people out there again today. And I got to say, we did reach out to 3M, and they seemed, like, hey, the take I get from 3M, George, is kind of like their hands are tied and they just want you people to do well. What are your thoughts on the way they are handling this with you guys that are out protesting?
I think they're doing a pretty decent job, but when we had a meeting about the questions about the vaccination, they failed to answer a lot of questions, and hopefully they'll come out with some emails within the next few days to, alleviate some of the questions that's been answered and give answers, because it's basically it's really unsafe.
Yeah.
So it's safe for us to get these vaccinations.
Have you done anything like this before?
No, I have not. I'm actually vaccinated, but I still support it.
Yeah.
Because as you get the other vaccinations that's coming about, the boosters, that just doesn't make sense. You know enough about it to put in your body.
All right, George. So are you guys? So Somebody's just texting us saying there's about 15, another one, maybe 20 people out there now. Are you going to be out there at all today?
I probably won't since I worked a full shift last night.
Okay, all right.
But I will go by and hunk and support him. I may stop and talk to him briefly, but I was out there the whole time yesterday.
Very nice, man. You're standing up for something. You believe in anything else that you would like to add?
I'm hoping that across America that the Biden administration sees and understands the seriousness of this. You know, like I said, our body, our choice. We should be able to make the call of what to be put in our body in America.
And you're hoping
this is America.
And you're hoping that Biden sees that. Did you? And I'm just asking. You don't have to answer if you don't want. Did you vote for Biden?
Yes, I did actually.
All right. Do you have? And again, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. I'm not shaming you. I'm just trying to learn more about your story. In the time since January 20th that he has taken over, how do you feel now with everything that's happened since January 20th? What is your opinion of Joe Biden now as somebody who voted for him, somebody who's adamantly against this mandate, somebody who's vaccinated, by the way, but against the mandate, but is out protesting with his fellow co-workers? What is your impression of Biden's first 8-9 months in office?
I hate to say it, but I really feel he's not did a great job and fulfilled like he should have for us American citizens. We shouldn't be fighting to fight for a job because of a mandate. Across America, this is going on, and it's totally sad and ridiculous. And hopefully, somebody can get a hold on this before it gets out of hand for American citizens.
Man, I can't imagine what that's like. This is George Bass. He's been protested yesterday, 3 a.m., and this is because of a federal mandate. It's because of Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the guy that our guest voted for, and so you're just bummed out and disappointed. I guess I'm trying to find out, are you angry with yourself for voting for Joe, or are you just bummed? Like, what's your mood? You've said you're disappointed in the job that he is doing.
Yeah, I am actually slightly, just a little bit. I actually am just slightly, the economy, gases, prices going up. I feel that they just kind of totally control us. It's like our United States is becoming a modern day China, I feel. And everything we do, they want the government wants to have their hand in what we're doing.
And it's tough for regular,
it's against our freedom of choice.
Yeah, and we're talking, man, George, working folks like us, it's not like we don't have a whole lot of options when, somebody like you is, well, I'm going to go out and protest. I disagree with this adamantly, and you're so situated that you can do so. But there's a lot of working folks like us that just feel incredibly disheartened by what's happening to our country.
Exactly. Some of us feel like we're not even in America anymore.
Man, George Bass. George, thank you so much for your time on the show. We might keep in touch and see what happens here over the next few days.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. And give everybody out there that's protesting today, give them a honk for us, if you would. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. By the way, big election. I don't know that I've ever bought into these. This is a bellwether of what's happening in America. I know a lot of folks said it about the California recall election. This would be indicative of, and I don't really buy into that.
I wasn't holding my breath.
Yeah.
It's California.
What about the Virginia gubernatorial race?
Oh, I think that matters.
Do you think that's a bellwether of what's going to be happening potentially in the country for midterms 2022?
Yeah.
All right.
I do.
Let's take a look at that race. Some of the poll numbers that are coming out, and Terry McAuliffe, backtracking, double speed.
Download the 93.9 The Eagle app and listen to Wake Up Columbia everywhere. It's easy to do. Geez, even Branden figured it out. 93.9 The Eagle.
Folks lined up this morning downtown to do the paperwork so they can run to be Columbia's next mayor. They were Randy Minchew, David Seaman. David Seaman currently sits on the Columbia Public School Board, professor from Mizzou, former city employee, Barbara Buffalo. She might still work for the city, I'm not sure. And then Randy Minchew, businessman for a lot of years, ran in the 6th Ward race against Betsy Peters earlier this year. Didn't win, but I thought from the get-go, he got enough votes in a town like Columbia that more of a citywide race might benefit him as opposed to being just restricted to a single ward where maybe he could court in some more of that conservative vote from other parts of the city. So that's going on today. We did have a conversation with Randy Minchew. You'll be able to go back and check that out on the Wake Up Columbia podcast. It was 7 o'clock hour. And then tomorrow, David Seaman is going to be joining us on Wake Up Columbia. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Hannah, the producer, is here.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. I think it was last week, Hannah and I were hanging out here at the station. Got a chance to meet some really cool people with Love Columbia, familiar with the work that Love Columbia does. Joining us, Krista Jones and Jane Williams. Jane, kind of in a nutshell, can you kind of tell us what it is that Love Columbia does?
Yes, Love Columbia was founded in 2008 here in Columbia, really to just join neighbors to help neighbors. We come alongside anyone who is struggling to cover their basic expenses, make ends meet, or create the life that they'd like to have. So we provide a range of supportive services that include information, financial assistance, lots of life skill coaching, furniture bank, just you name it. People come in, they don't need a cookie cutter approach. They need a range of things that we can provide through mainly using volunteers and resources in the community.
And that's what I appreciate, the life coaching skills, Krista. I mean, that's important because it's not just, what's the phrase we use in a lot of different situations? It's not a handout, it's a hand up. It truly is. Hey, okay, you need some help right now. Okay, we can help you. Now, how can we help you to not contact us again? So what are some of the life skills? What is it that you deal with a lot?
People really need to achieve financial stability, employment stability, and housing stability. So those are the things we focus on more. And then when they can achieve that, then we work for just longer term life goals, getting the better job, maybe working toward home ownership. But initially, many people just need help learning how to budget. Some people come to us, they've never written down their income and expenses, and they don't really know why they aren't making ends meet. So we work with them. We try to help them understand how to raise their credit score. We help a lot of people get out of payday loans because they've made that, really difficult choice to get into one of those loans. And usually it was because they couldn't pay their bills, that they're not taking trips to Vegas.
I have a good friend, and she kind of fostered 2 girls starting at the age of 17. And it's remarkable what they don't know. And it's not really their fault.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's just not having modeling in place. And when you can come beside somebody and, at Love Columbia, it's not just about the resources, but it's very much about the relationships.
Say, hey, I'm not just going to buy you food. I'm not just going to pay for a cell phone. So I'm going to teach you how to make a budget. I'm going to teach you how sometimes you're going to have to walk to the grocery store. All right, here's a bus schedule. I'll teach you how to do it, but I'm not going to do that stuff for you. That's one of the things that I've appreciated about the work that Love Columbia does. And you guys have a big event coming up this week, and I heard there's even a couple of politicians taking part, I think.
Yeah,
we'll see if it's true. So what's happening this weekend?
Yeah, so it is our biggest fundraiser of the year this coming Saturday. It's an event we call Over the Edge. We have a company that flies in from Canada. They do about 80 of these events for nonprofits a year, and this weekend is our weekend. So we have a crew coming in, and we have at this point 88 edgers, or 88 people that will be rappelling down the side of the Tiger Hotel on Saturday.
And it's for a good cause, and there are some slots available if someone's, I want to rappel down the Tiger Hotel.
Yeah.
Saturday, how do they get involved?
So if they go to our website at lovecolumbiamo.org, they can hit the registration button there and get involved that way. It is a $1,000 fundraising minimum to be able to, that's kind of the golden ticket to go over the edge. Our goal is to try to hit $120,000 in funds raised for this event. And we're approaching that number, but we could really still use some support with finishing out our registration. Another way that you can help is to go online and see whose campaigns are not quite getting there. And so, we are about neighbors helping neighbors. Yeah. This is just another way to do that. And if somebody's low on their campaign and they're not at their $1,000 goal, you could go and boost someone else's fundraising goal.
So you go and donate by going to lovecolumbia.org, lovecolumbiamo.org. And by the way, weather Saturday looks good. Should be sunny temps in the 60s. If you want to be a part of that, like if you're listening in an office place right now, you know what? We could do that. We could get together $1,000, get a slot, and then put the boss over the edge. Entire hotel. Saturday, downtown Columbia, lovecolumbiamo.org. And I want to, if you're watching on Facebook, keep watching. We're going to do a Facebook Live with some VR equipment that they have. I don't have time to do it on the show, so that'll be bonus material on the Facebook page. See ya.
Bye.